Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is the October 22nd, 2015 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. A few announcements tonight, but before I begin, I'd like to ask young Bill Green if he would like to approach the podium and make he had a couple of announcements.
I'm here just to announce that this Sunday is our annual Halloween party. It's at Van Wyck Junior High School. It's our 15th, and we have a costume party parade. It's from 3 to 5. It's for all East Fishkill residents from 2 weeks old till they're young teens. And we have food, beverage, we have musical entertainment, and we have a great time. And I've contacted some of these youngsters here. We do look for people looking for community service to come and assist us. They're welcome, these John Jay students, and we hope everybody here and everybody watching on television will take a few hours. You'll have a good time. We're celebrating Halloween early. And for you budget people, this is all part of our celebration money, which goes to our fireworks on July 4th, our Easter egg hunt, and our community day. So this is something that's free for all of you, so take advantage of it. And my seat is now available for one of the older people.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Bill knows we're in budget time, and obviously with the economy the way it is, we're very sensitive to budgets, so I appreciate that. Just a couple other announcements. Councilman D'Alessandro and I just came from another meeting. We were at a public workshop on Route 376 and Robinson Lane, Lake Walton Road intersection. I wrote DOT letters years ago. I've been bugging DOT for the last 10 years. About 3 months ago, I actually got an email from DOT saying that they were going to do a project. Anybody that's gone down Route 376 in Fishkill Plains between the hours of 4 in the afternoon to 6 in the afternoon, 6 in the evening, knows it's a very tough place to get through due to the Robinson Lane and the Lake Walton Road intersection. DOT has proposed. Actually, they have a proposal. They're having a public workshop tonight. One thing I would say, the public workshop wasn't as well as attended as our town board meeting is tonight. But anybody in the area, they're going to have another presentation in December when they're going to provide a little bit more detail of the plans. And if you could attend, it's very important because we need to show DOT that fixing this intersection problem means something to the town of East Fishkill. So the more people we can get at the next meeting, and we'll post it and we'll get it advertised, it'll be sometime in December. But they're actually talking about doing the project beginning in 2017, and we really need to fix that intersection. So we're very happy with that. A couple other things. I did want to thank our ethics board. A few months ago, we had a couple of ethics concerns were referred to our ethics board, and the ethics board has reviewed the concerns put forth, and they made their determination. The decision by the ethics board has been filed with the town clerk, and if anybody would like to discuss it or see it, please feel free to see the town clerk or the council members. I just want to make that known. Police staffing and budget issues. One thing I did want to say tonight, and we brought this up also at the workshop meeting, which was only a week ago. Sometimes these meetings get back to back. Before I begin, I want to just say the East Fishkill Town Board fully supports the East Fishkill Police Department. We're very proud of our police department, and we are very much in support of our police department. I want everybody to know that. But as Bill just alluded to, budget issues are always situation has to be taken into consideration. So let me just go quickly over some issues that we have right now with our police staffing. 10 months ago, one of our sergeants hurt his back on the job and since has had back surgery, and when he's going to be coming back, we don't know. A few months ago, 2 of our officers hurt their backs in non-job related incidences, and they have scheduled surgery also, and I believe the surgery will be in November. Then a couple of weeks ago, one of our officers had hurt his elbow on the job, and he is out. And last week, one of our sergeants went out for surgery. He will be going out, well, he's out now, and he will be going to surgery due to a neck injury suffered on the job a few years ago. I've never seen so many officers out for such long periods of time. And one thing I would like to do is thank our detectives, because our detectives really stepped up to the plate, and they've been doing some of the patrol shifts and stuff like that. And it's been very, very good to have the detectives step up. Unfortunately, we know that's only short term. With these type of injuries, you know, the back injuries, especially when you're getting to surgeries, you know, you're out for a prolonged period. And I understand it's put a lot of stress on our police department. And we understand that. And now staffing is an issue. And I just want to go over a couple of things that I told the chief. I've been discussing with the chief of police, Kevin Keefe, and I told the chief to continue processing the application of a candidate that we had vetted, We had vetted a candidate a couple months ago, and I just asked him to hold off until I could find the money in the budget. I didn't think that that was really unreasonable, because in this day and age, you just can't go hiring people. You need to know how you're going to pay them. You need to know where the money is going to come from. So I asked him to hold off, and he did. But because of the issues with staffing have gotten so acute, I told him to go ahead. We're going to wrap up the background checks and everything that needs to be done to bring on the new candidate as quickly as we possibly can. Again, I have found the money. I've searched the budget, and what I did to the town budget, just so you know, last year, the budget was cut to the bone. This year, we cut the bone. There's a 0.73 tax cap by the Governor Cuomo. It is very inhibitive. It's very constrictive, very, very difficult to do things that you'd like to do, but we are under a tax cap. So we've cut the budget to the bone. Now we've cut the bone. But I did find the funds to hire a new officer, and I've spoken with the board, and everybody is in favor of bringing on the new officer. I've also told the chief of police to notify the New York State Troopers and the Dutchess County Sheriffs about our situation and asking for backup and patrol. As taxpayers, sometimes we forget that we also pay for the services of New York State Troopers and the sheriffs. And so while you might not see a town cop out, you might see a state trooper, you might see a deputy sheriff. And we've reached out to them and told them, look, we're down 5 officers. Will you be here for backup? We don't want anybody to be put in an unsafe situation. And we don't want the public to feel unsafe either. And we get good cooperation from our friends at the state police and the Dutchess County Sheriffs. These are the things that we have to do. I have also advised Dutchess County. I had called up the Dutchess County District Attorney. We have a detective that's working up the county. And I said, look, we have to have him back. We need him back as soon as we can get him. Obviously, he's involved with certain activities up there, but as soon as we can get him, we're going to have him back here to help out with the detectives who are helping out with patrol. So that's what we're going to do. And again, I discussed with the sergeant detective upon the further use of detective staff to fill in for patrol. We are in a crisis mode when it comes to this situation. I say, I've never seen 5 officers out before, and this is what we're facing. But we're going to do everything that we can to be sure that our officers are safe and that our public is safe. We are going to bring in as many people as we can to help out from the detective squad. Again, we've notified the state police and the Dutchess County Sheriffs. So that's what we're going to do, and we will continue to work to address the shortage in manpower until our full staff returns to work. Excuse me. Now, in regards to the budget, in the 2016 budget, we proposed a total of $6.13 million for our police budget. That amount is 51.7% of our general town budget. This is the largest police budget in the history of our department. Yet there are people out there that are calling upon us to break the tax cap. Mark, breaking the tax cap, what impact did that have on the taxpayers of the town of East Fishkill?
In this particular year, as long as we stay within the tax cap and we meet the obligations which we've already met for savings, that any excess or any increase in taxes would be refunded to all the taxpayers. So if we break the cap, they lose that refund and then pay
whatever the overage
whatever
is
the
going to be,
overage would
correct?
be for the, yes.
Yeah. I didn't come up with this. The governor has come up with this plan where he takes our money, and then if we're good, he gives it back to us. I think probably, I wish I just had the postage, but that's another story. But be honest with you, the economy is not good. We know a lot of people that are out of work. We know people are struggling. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I think I can speak for my board, we are not going to break the tax cap. We will do everything we can do to stay underneath the tax cap. And that's what we plan to do. So again, we have proposed, in this budget for our police officers, $6.13 million is the biggest budget that we've ever proposed for the police department. So you understand, we are supporting them. All the other budgets have been cut. Highway, I couldn't even talk about highway. We were paving a third of the roads we should be paving. And that is going to catch up to us. So we have issues, but we are fully funding our police department. We will not break the tax cap. We will work with our police department to do whatever we can to resolve any issues. The staffing issue is an immediate crisis, and we are working very hard to do that. So with that being said, I have been giving the police budget a very close look. Usually I get the budget, and usually the police department does a very good job. I have found several $1,000s in savings by going through that budget. This is a big budget. Again, it's $6.135 million. We will go through this. We will find the money that we need. And I just ask tell our PBA, tell our police, we're here to work together. We support you, and we have to get through this together. So that's all I wanted to say. And again, this is a very trying time, and I know our police department is very stressed because of the loss of staff. But again, this is the biggest budget that we've ever provided to our police department. So I think in that respect, we're doing our share. So that being said, one last thing I did want to say, the EPA, for those people that live in the Hopewell Precision Superfund site, the EPA has submitted the Hopewell Precision Superfund Water Project application to the Congressional Review Committee. It is at 95% completion, which was the basic requirement of it. And they are reviewing it. They'll be starting the review process very soon. So hopefully we'll be able to get this very important project funded in the coming years. So just want to say that. With that, that's really all I have to say. As far as announcements, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Present.
Councilperson Franco.
Present.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, I think the board has been provided minutes of the September 24th, 2015, and the October 5th, 2015 special budget presentation. Have there been any changes, amendments, or modifications to those minutes?
No, there has not.
That being said, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 24 and October 5th as submitted?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Under receipt and file, we have a letter from the Town of Paulding Planning Board regarding an application by Homeland Towers and New Singular Wireless to construct a new wireless telecommunication facility in their town, and we're glad it's in their town. So do we just notify that because we're an adjoining town? Letter from we also received a letter from the Board of Fire Commissioners. There is a project that's actually on our agenda that will be submitted, hopefully forwarded tonight to our planning and Dutchess County Planning for their review. That's a rezone application for East Fishkill Golf Center. They are right next to our fire commissioners, the Fire Training Center, and they have met, and our Board of Fire Commissioners says this is a good project and they support it and it will not impact them negatively in any way. So they were forwarded as receipt and file to our town clerk. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on comments on agenda items only? Anybody in the audience like to speak on any agenda items? Okay. Oh, I have someone. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Supervisor Hickman. I would first like to thank you for the update on the EPA Superfund site. I appreciate the continued work on that you do for us. I would also like to support the police department and thank them for their service, but again, I do appreciate your work and the council's work to keep the tax cap, our budget within the tax cap. I do have some comments on the Eagle Ridge, the dedication of the roads.
Yep.
There has been recent landscaping done to the entrance, and while it looks very nice right now, I have some concerns about the maintenance of that in the long term. I've lived in the community for a very long time, and I've seen other entrances to developments that look beautiful when they're first put in, but then they're not maintained, they become overgrown, they become more of an eyesore than a beautification project. So I just want to make sure that the town council is doing something to protect the homeowners in that development so that those areas can be maintained.
It's just to that point, that's not a town board issue. Actually, the project went through the planning board, and when the planning board would approve it, they would approve the landscaping, and I don't know if they,
Just to explain that, the resolution tonight, if the town board were to accept it, requires a bond of $658,000, and that is to make sure that, I think there's a few landscape items to be finished.
Correct.
The weather may not allow for that.
Correct.
And that also stays in place then for a year to ensure that the trees take root.
but I think the
and things like
question
that.
is more like ongoing, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Is
So-
there a homeowners or anything like that there?
There's no association.
No, there's no association.
Okay.
So, you know, sometimes how you interpret it, an agenda or a dedication is different than what it actually is, so that's why I just want to, go on the public record for that. My other concern, and this might be addressed with the 1-year piece, is there were they recently backfilled the curbs that were put in and seeded and strawed them. There are areas that came in, there's some areas that were left unseeded, there's some areas that were just seeded and haven't grown in. So as we approach the winter weather, I just want to make sure that there's something out there to protect the homeowners should that wash away, and should there not be grass in the spring that's there to hold that dirt in place, and that expense doesn't need to be brought upon the homeowners.
Sure, absolutely. And that would be covered by the maintenance
Yes.
bond that we will have in place.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on agenda items? Okay, there being none, the first public hearing tonight, or the only public hearing tonight, consider the rezoning of the former Shade and Sun property. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The public hearing is now open. And I would just, as the board knows, this is a bit of a complicated rezone request. So we've asked, and I'm sorry, your name is?
Yolanda Janssen, I'm the engineer, and this is Nick Cabrera, the owner of
Okay.
the property.
We've asked the engineer to come and explain a little bit about this rezone application, because again, it is a bit complicated, but I see in our packets that our planning board had actually, or planning board or the planner, I believe it's the planning board, made recommendations that there's 3 different scenarios or 3 different possibilities. So if you just explain to us a little bit about what you're proposing tonight.
Just use the mic.
You need me to speak into the mic?
Yes,
We
have
need you
use
to
the
speak into a
microphone.
mic. Also, we're going to need you to turn that a little bit so we can see that also. They're little pictures, but we'll do our best. Most of us know where the Shade and Sun Nursery is.
Get it down?
You'll have, do we have a mic? Our audio-video guy comes to the rescue yet again.
Thank you.
Mike, can you get the picture of the board?
Shade and Sun is a former nursery, and it used to be operated as a retail facility with greenhouses and a large amount of storage space for various landscaping products and examples of what these landscaping walls and ponds and things would look like after they were completed. Due to the recession, the demand for landscaping in our area, a lot of which was for new subdivisions and new housing, has completely died away and does not look like it's going to come back anytime soon. The problem with this parcel is that it consists of 3 separate lots. And I'm just going to go like this. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. The zoning is 2 different zones. So underneath this parcel, where the retail shop and the rental house is located, is zoned business. And underneath these 2 parcels, which contains sheds and storage spaces and other products, it is zoned residential. With the current requirement for the R3 zone being a relatively large lot, different configurations to try and create something where the house would be on a residential lot and the rest would be business is very difficult to accomplish because your acreage for that zone is now quite high. So the owner who has been unable to sell his property to another user who isn't doing exactly what the facility is doing now would like to create one parcel that is zoned business. Then the retail space could be used for retail. The greenhouses are being taken down because they've been damaged by storms and other events. The residence could be used as an office, and somebody could start using this property, and he has had some interested buyers, but nobody is willing to close on something that is inconsistent in its very structure. One of the issues is that there is a driveway that serves not only the house that's on the property, but a number of houses behind this property. And I've been asked by the planning board whether or not those parcels could have a different driveway or a driveway off Route 52. And you may have driven 52 and maybe not necessarily noticed, but the frontage of these parcels is a steep rock cut.
Yeah.
So the ability to create separate driveways or a separate access for those parcels that are further back is really not feasible. The driveway as it currently exists has been used by all of the homeowners behind this commercial parcel, and it
Excuse
is
me, and just so that I would understand, these homeowners behind the parcel are on your parcel. These are houses that are on this, they're the ones in
they're
the back,
on
correct?
parcels owned by other people.
Yeah.
So
Oh, they're owned by other people. So this road actually provides
Provides-
access to other properties that are
Yes.
owned by you?
that are not owned
Okay.
by Shade and Son.
That's an
There
interesting
is
one.
another parcel even further back that Mr. Camarera does own, so it provides access to one parcel, but
Mm-hmm.
in between that, there's two parcels
That are not owned by,
under separate ownership
really?
with houses, and those people's only access is
Wow.
through this parcel.
I said this was a complicated rezone application, and it certainly is. Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's the essence of what's going on here. The perimeter, the edge where this parcel is up against existing residences on the easterly side, Mr. Camarera has quite a few leftover trees and bushes that are still in their
They're still in the
burlap,
Yeah.
still capable of being transplanted, and they're on the property. What he's proposing is that they will be planted in within a 30-foot strip along the property line to create a permanent visual barrier between what would be a business
And what I
parcel.
see in the planning board recommendations was establishing a buffer area.
Yes.
Now, obviously, as with our subdivisions too, the planning board sometimes requires special types of plantings. So I don't know if those trees would actually be, but it was something that would have to be considered by the planning board, I'm sure, as to be appropriate.
They're a
Buffer.
mixture of both evergreens and deciduous, and some of them are already quite substantial. It is wooded, but it would create something permanent, and that easement could become a legally buffer, so that any future owner would not be allowed to
What would the
disturb it.
use now of this property be once you buffer it and?
Your interested buyers, what would they perhaps be doing on the property?
Now, I'm not going to ask
Yeah, I had-
specifically,
I
I'm
had
just
debate.
asking,
But as a concept.
I'm not interested in the business, I'm just asking, what is the zone you're looking to be?
Business,
You're going to make it a B1 zone?
Yes.
B1.
That's correct, okay.
The same as what one of the parcels is now.
Right,
But it would, Right now, it's 3 parcels. If we make it 1 parcel
All
and make
B1.
it B1.
Okay.
1 parcel,
Okay, so you're changing the residential, which is now R3,
yes,
to B1?
to be B1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be merging, the property be merged into one deed too, at that
Yes.
point? Is that what the
Yes.
proposal is?
Yes.
Okay.
What about the road?
An easement, it currently exists as an easement. There is a legal easement. The easement is partially on one parcel and partially on another one.
That's
So
a-
the actual meets and bounds of that easement would not change.
It's a private dirt road. Private dirt road.
Yeah,
Gravel,
a non-town road.
Yeah.
not a
Okay.
town road.
Any thoughts on this by the professionals?
Well, in discussing it with the planning board and the town planner, this may very well lend itself to have to be a creation like a reuse type special permit in a zoning ordinance, because it is a very unique situation
It
where
is.
you have the properties in the rear with the road coming through. Our ordinance has a prohibition of accessing residential properties through a commercial property, so we would have to address that to have that work. And then one of the proposals from the planning board, I think, was to leave the 1 parcel, B1, and to consider zoning the other parcel residential, but perhaps less than the 3 acres, to allow additional residential lots. And that way, the existing residences that face the other street would only have backyards as opposed to the buffer. So those are a couple of things that maybe we have to discuss further with the applicant. But it is a complex process.
It really is. Now, I think one of the concerns I would have, if it was totally B1, would be obviously traffic. You know, the driveway, as you say, comes down onto 52 at a significant angle. You'd be having who knows how much traffic in and out.
But the current traffic is from the residences.
Right.
Additional traffic would be whatever the actual use of the parcel would become. When it was retail, the traffic would come in and park very close to the retail space,
Right.
and that was how it functioned for quite a few years.
For 50 years.
How many years?
50 years.
50
Yes,
years.
But that use, because I used to go up there, and you did not have, now, say you were to have like something that was in a B1 zone, very well used. I mean, you could increase the traffic significantly.
I believe at that point, if there was a significant change in use, then that owner would need to come in
Address
for site
the-
plan for any actual modifications that they might want to make. But if they wanted to use the existing space primarily for storage and, say, run a online business out of that location, then the impact could be very
little
minimal.
impact. But in a B1, you're not restricted to just that. So
Correct.
we could rezone it to a B1, and then obviously, I would hope that, what are the triggers for going back to the planning board? Parking requirements is,
Yes, they would, I mean, if it were rezoned all B1, they would have to go for site plan if they're going to do anything outside of the existing building and structure that's there now.
okay. Would you mind sitting down with our professionals and talking about this a little further? We can get a little more, would that be all right?
We would be happy to do that.
Would you mind, and would our professionals be okay with meeting and see what we could hash out? Because my concern is, it was to be all B1. Yes, you could then have somebody come in for the planning board, but I wouldn't want to, I would want to make sure we're comfortable with what it is, because it is a very complicated one with the road and all. But if you could meet with ours, and maybe we could have Michelle, our planner, sit in.
Right.
Yeah, if we could arrange something, and if the board's okay, I'm sorry, and the board have any questions? You be okay with that? I mean, I just feel like the professionals really need to meet on this and talk about it. Councilman Marinero, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I think you should, listen to the concerns, if there are any from the professionals, it will be very, very recommended by me, and to get some more input, something definitely needs to be done with this property so that can't be vacant for the longest time, but again, we need to do it the right way. So,
Councilman D'Alessandro, okay?
I agree.
Okay.
No,
Mr.
no, I
Mr.
think
Cassidy?
they definitely they should sit down and come up
Okay.
with ideas and different scenario type things that are even
Okay.
gonna
I mean,
fit on the property.
Do you speak to the neighbors at all? Are the neighbors surrounding
I did.
properties, and they're okay with?
They're okay with what
with
we
what's going to
propose to
happen?
do,
Because,
yeah.
okay. All right. Would you be okay meeting with the professionals, that we could adjourn the public hearing till January, and you can come back with a more formal plan, and then we could see what we can do then?
Yes.
Is that okay? Is that okay with our professionals? Figure January? Sure. Okay, if that gives us enough time. All righty, very good. Do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing to consider the rezone of the former Shade Sun property until our January, and I don't have a calendar.
We didn't set a schedule yet.
It would
Excuse me?
be more than likely the 21st.
I would suspect it's going to be the
Second Thursday.
Oh, second, fourth, 28th.
28th, January 28th. And if we don't change, if we don't make those our meeting nights, we'll let you know. But, all right, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing until January 28th?
so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, and we'll set down something with our professionals.
Chairman planning. Okay.
Thank you.
That's enough
Thank
time,
you.
Scott?
Sorry.
That's
All
enough
right.
time till January?
Yes. Because it's been vetted with the planning
Yeah,
board, too.
Just want
so
to check
it's-
with you.
yeah.
Okay. All righty, very good. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. We look forward to seeing you back in January. All righty, that's the only public hearing for tonight. Resolutions. The first resolution is to accept the roads in the Stone Ridge subdivision. And actually, I'd gotten a request today to also accept the roads in the Eagle Ridge subdivision. Now, this had come up, typically, we don't accept roads this late in the year, but we had had several calls from our constituents that live on these roads wishing that they be taken over by the town and maintained by the town. And if I do see, I believe that we have letters from our highway superintendent, and that he's okay. And Scott, you've been out to these roads?
Yes, if you recall, they were here last month.
Yeah.
They had a couple of minor deficiencies that they had to get cleaned up, which they've done since that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've, revisited this site, and we're satisfied that it's ready to be dedicated.
Okay. Now, the Stone Ridge subdivision roads, they will provide a maintenance bond that will be posted in the amount of $400,000.
Actually, there's a revision to that. That would be $250,000.
$250,000, okay. All right, and in the matter of the Eagle Ridge, there will be maintenance bond posted by the developer of Eagle Ridge in the amount of $658,000, is that correct?
Eagle Ridge, we have a separate resolution.
We have a
for.
separate
Two
resolution.
resolutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually a performance bond is going to
I'm
be...
reading the second resolution.
Okay.
Have we got a second one? Are there two different resolutions on the agenda? Because I didn't get
Two on the agenda.
Okay. Oh, because I had to go to a previous meeting. Excuse me. Accept the roads.
Stone Ridge.
You put this at number 7. Excuse me. Do I have a motion to accept the roads in Stone Ridge subdivision?
So move.
All those in favor say aye.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, and thank you, Councilman Cassidy.
Must be Friday.
I left early to go to another meeting, and I didn't get the newest agenda. A little bit taken back by that. All right, do I have a, item number 2, refer the rezone application for the East Fishkill Golf Center to the Planning Board. Councilman D'Alessandro, would you read that one?
Sure. For a rezone application to the Town Planning Board and to the County of Dutchess Planning Board. Whereas JFE Associates has filed an application requesting a rezone of property grid number stated, whereas upon filing the petition with the town clerk and the payment of the requisite fees, the matter is now before the town board, and the town board has determined that it is appropriate to refer this matter to the planning board to review, to be lead agency under SECRA, and to refer the same to Dutchess County Planning Board for comment. And whereas it is the desire of the town board to make said referral, now therefore be it resolved that the rezoning application from JFE Associates filed with the town clerk be and hereby is referred to the planning board for its review and comment, as well as for the planning board to conduct a secret review of said petition as lead agency. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized and directed to refer said petition to the Dutchess County Planning Board for their review and comment as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to refer the rezone application to the planning board and the Dutchess County Planning?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you poll the board?
Councilperson Cassidy?
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Aye.
Councilperson Franco?
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro?
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman?
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. There being no nays, the resolution is passed. Okay, resolution number 3 is award the ice control sand material bid. Why do I feel like I have to read this twice? Councilman Cassidy, would you read the resolution in regards to the award of the ice control sand bid? There is a blank. Just let me just check. Town engineer, we've learned more about about ice control sand in the last 2 weeks than I've ever wanted to know before.
Dale Industries.
1370.
Granulation, graduation,
Well, the gradation,
gradation.
and because in the past years, we have had problems with freeze-ups in the
Yes.
trucks.
Yes.
So
And-
gradation is important, the cleanliness of the material.
Yep, and we would like to accept the bid from who has it appropriate?
Dale
Is it
Industries is the
Dale
low bidder.
Industries? Okay. Councilman Cassidy, would you please read that resolution?
Whereas under the highway law, the highway superintendent is allowed to utilize private contractors to provide ice control sand for the roads during the winter storms. And whereas the annual basis, the town solicits bids for contractors to assist the highway superintendent. And whereas bids have been received by the clerk of the town and our superintendent and are summarized in the attached schedule, now therefore be resolved that the town board does hereby approve the bid of Thale Industries at $13.75 a ton for the ice control sand material listed therein, to utilize the highway superintendent on the clearing of snow and ice in the winter season.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to award the ice control sand bid to Thale Industries?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you poll the board?
Councilperson Cassidy?
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Aye.
Councilperson Franco?
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro?
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman?
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. There being no nays, the resolution is passed. Resolution number 4 to appoint labor in the Highway Department effective November 16, 2015. Whereas, wrong one. Boy, oh boy, I got to come in earlier. Whereas the Highway Department Superintendent has requested that the Town Board hire Kevin Higgs as laborer for the Highway Department, and the Town Board has reviewed the recommendation and interviewed the applicant. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board does hereby appoint Kevin Higgs as laborer starting November 16, 2015 in the Highway Department at a rate of $17.76 per hour. And I would just make a note that this is actually replacing one of our people that will be leaving quite soon. So that being said, do I have a motion to appoint a laborer in the Highway Department?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those, Madam Clerk, will you poll the board?
Councilperson Cassidy?
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Aye.
Councilperson Franco?
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro?
Abstain?
Supervisor Hickman?
Aye. 4 ayes and 1 abstention. The motion is passed. Thank you very much. Resolution number 5 is award the disposal of surplus computers and related equipment. Councilman Franco, would you please read the resolution?
Sure. Whereas there are outdated computers that are no longer needed by the town, and whereas it is the desire of the town board to authorize the town IT to properly dispose of said property, and therefore be it resolved that said property is determined to be surplus by the town board, and now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized to approve the town IT to dispose of the computers appropriately.
Thank you very much. Do I have a and the town board has a list of the items that will be disposed of properly. Do I have a motion to declare certain properties to be surplus and disposed upon, disposed of? Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you poll the board?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Aye.
Councilperson Franco.
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5 ayes, no nays, or abstentions. The resolution is passed. Number 6, to approve the tax certiorari settlement by Skanga Holdings, LLC. Whereas from time to time, property owners file Article 7 proceedings challenging their assessments following denials by the Board of Assessment Review, and whereas following negotiations between the town attorney, the town assessor, and the town's appraisal consultant, the town certiorari set forth herein is able to be resolved. Whereas it would appear to be in the best interest of the town to resolve this upon these terms and conditions. Now therefore be resolved, the town attorney be and hereby is authorized to execute stipulation of settlement, settling the following matter. Is for the assessment year 2015, the total assessment of $2 million is reduced by $550,000. The reduced assessment will be $1,450,000. Be it further resolved that the town attorney be and hereby is authorized to take all steps necessary and appropriate to effectuate the settlement of this matter, and be it further resolved that all officials of the town be and hereby are authorized and enabled to effectuate the intent of the order since it is entered by a justice of the Supreme Court. I know we always have to ask this from our town attorney. Is there any cash out to this?
Actually, for the town, there will be no refund. This adjusted the 2015 roll.
Oh,
And
good.
the first town tax to be levied on this would be the February tax bill. So there'll
Okay,
be no
so there's
cash
no
out
out
to us.
of
Right.
pocket. Okay.
What's it going to cost the town?
The
Ballpark.
town, we don't have to pay anything.
No, no,
because-
no.
Oh.
Well, on the
Oh, you mean
tax
total
Reduction of
cost? I'm sorry.
taxes.
It's about $4,200.
For the town share.
But of course, there's all the, I think, what is, May 1st is the date the roll is
That's
actually.
taxable status day.
Taxable status day, so whatever fluctuations and changes will be made before May 1st will affect this too. Any other questions for the town attorney?
Yeah, Tom, I have a question. I know that we usually fight these taxes even for the school boards.
Yes.
Do we get any kind of money from the schools to the town lawyer, or?
No, the assessment roll is the town's responsibility, and by law, the school districts have to use our assessment rolls. And that becomes an issue if the town wants to settle and the school district doesn't. But the school district here only intervenes in cases of, in 10 years, they haven't intervened in any. In other municipalities, what happens, the school district is given a copy of it, and if it's a significant matter, they usually have their attorneys get involved in it also. But the Wappinger District has not chosen to do that in our town yet.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to authorize the settlement of a tax certiorari with Skanga Holdings LLC versus the town of East Fishkill?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you poll the board?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Aye.
Councilperson Franco.
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5 ayes, the resolution is passed. The next resolution is to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement to have the town participate in the LED streetlight replacement program. Councilman Marinaro, will you?
There's been a change, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong. Yep.
three
You guys do
different
this to me.
Seven's the
This
Eagle
is where
Ridge.
Eagle Ridge went to.
Yeah, this is where you go.
I had it all in the first one,
There's
so
3.
thank you very much, Councilman. All right, back to Eagle Ridge. Thank you. I hope this is correct. The next resolution, accepting the Eagle Ridge subdivision roads. Whereas the planning board previously had approved Eagle Ridge subdivision within the town, and whereas the contractors building the same have indicated that the roads known as Glenn's Way and Katie's Way in the Eagle Ridge subdivision are now available for dedication. Whereas it is the desire of the town board to accept as public highways Glenn's Way and Katie's Way in the Eagle Ridge subdivision. Now therefore be resolved that Glenn's Way and Katie's Way in the Eagle Ridge subdivision be and hereby is accepted as public highways. Be it further resolved that performance bond in the amount of $658,000 shall be maintained by the developer of Eagle Ridge until such time as the punch list items referenced in the Morris Associates letter dated October 21st, 2015 are completed and accepted, at which time a maintenance bond will be posted by the developer of Eagle Ridge in the amount of $658,000 to ensure the work is satisfactory during the guarantee period. And Scott, these are the appropriate values?
Yes.
Okay. And this is, this resolution addresses all the issues with the punch list? Very good. All right. Do I have a motion to accept the Eagle Ridge subdivision roads as per this resolution?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please poll the board.
Councilperson Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Aye.
Councilperson Franco.
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5 ayes. The resolution is passed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the final resolution is authorizing the supervisor to sign an agreement with Central Hudson. Councilman Marinaro, will you read the resolution, please?
Whereas Central Hudson was granted Public Service Commission approval to offer municipalities the option to lease LED streetlights, and whereas Central Hudson will replace existing Rate A fixtures in need of repair or replacement with an LED fixture, which will offer significant savings to the town. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to sign on behalf of the town all documents required by Central Hudson for the LED streetlights.
Thank you, Councilman. And just an explanation, it's a program put on by Central Hudson. They're not going to come out and do them all, but during routine maintenance, what they will do is go out and replace the light when it needs replacing with the LED light. And they do give us a breakdown of the 70-watt, 150-watt, and 250-watt sodium vapor lights that will be replaced with an equivalent LED and the savings. So there's no cost to the town, except in there will be savings in electrical usage. So, and I think it kind of goes along with what we were talking about at the workshop, you know, trying to save more money. We've already actually changed all of the lights in the town hall to these LED units. So with that, do I have a motion to authorize supervisor to sign the agreement with Central Hudson?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Aye.
Councilperson Franco.
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5 ayes. The resolution is passed. Very good. That is the last resolution for this evening. I'll ask the Comptroller, are there any budget transfers for this evening?
Not this evening.
Okay. All righty, very good. Next item on the agenda is take public comments on general town issues. We will now be taking comments on general town issues. Comments will be taken, and as some issues take time for review, consideration, and research, responses from the board may be given at this time or at another meeting. The public always has the ability to come and meet with any member of the town board to discuss any town issues. Like anybody like to speak on any general town issues, please step up.
Hi, my name is Rachel Merritt, and I'm a senior at John Jay High School. I would just like to voice my concern about what happened to Sky Howie on October 2nd, and I would like to urge you guys to put in a pedestrian walking sign on 52 so the students can safely cross the street.
Okay, and that was the person that got hit, the young woman, the young girl that got hit. How is she?
She has a fractured pelvis.
That's what I had heard. And I know that our police department has reviewed, there's a tape, there's a camera that night. That crossing, and I've spoken with DOT a couple times about that crossing, I've spoken with the school about the crossing, and Senator Sue Serino's office just yesterday. That's a DOT crossing, it's a DOT crosswalk. We've asked to increase the lighting there, and absolutely, we will put in a request. They were actually, now DOT is decided what they would like to do. They came back with a counter proposal to put in a crosswalk button there, and you would press the button, and then you'd wait for the lights, and then you could cross safely.
Yes,
that is
what
their
I'd
new proposal, and I know I've told them that we would support that, and I know the school has supported that also. So we hope she's getting better. It could have been far worse, and absolutely we'll do whatever we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to personally thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting and the show of support for the police department. I also want to thank the town board for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Brian Tarpey, and before I begin, I want to give a little information about myself. I stand before you all today not only as a concerned Town of East Fishkill resident, but also as an employee for the Town of East Fishkill and the current PBA president. I've lived in the Town of East Fishkill for my entire life. I raised my family here, and I own a house in the town. That being said, I would like to address some comments which were made last week's workshop meeting. It was mentioned at the town budget meeting last week that the PBA social media website had negative comments posted. The intent of the post was to be informative to the public about the situation of the police department and was only meant to attract support. I did repost our intent and asked that people stay on topic. It was also stated that the post was upsetting and disappointing. I would like to be clear, in no way was this post directed at any one person or group. Not only is it very clear what was said, I personally went to Mr. Hickman's office earlier last week in an effort to explain the intent of the post. It was also said that the PBA says, just raise the taxes and the people will understand because it's for the police. While I would generally prefer not to air publicly the content of a closed-door meeting, I will tell you that the statement was made in response to a very real potential of police officers and dispatchers layoffs, the hiring of part-time police officers, and the insinuation that there was no community support for the police department. And as you can see tonight, the turnout is overwhelming. And that was an incorrect assessment. This was not a meeting about contract negotiations, but rather to address issues about public safety and officer safety. I've sat down with the town comptroller, which I would like to thank, who has been very giving with his time and forthcoming with helping us to better understand the town's financial position. In regards to what the effect would be per household if the taxes were raised, it costs approximately $6.93 per household for a first-year officer, which includes benefits. For a fifth-year officer who would be at top pay, it would cost approximately $11.20 per household. It was also stated that the police department has never suffered budget cuts and have always been kept intact. Since 2011, we have not hired any new personnel, but we have encountered several retirements and additional duties. We have taken on the duties for the dog warden. We carry Narcan, which has been a very big success this year with 8 saves. We are also equipped with AEDs, and we're all first responders. We also currently have 3 officers that can retire any given moment and several others within the next 18 months. Now, I do agree on one thing. It is catastrophic with all the injuries that occurred this year. Coupled with the vacancies, have most definitely made the situation much tougher to work with. Earlier this year, the department was asked to do an impact study for the proposed Muse at the Hopewell Junction subdivision. It's my understanding that there was a recommendation, which was included in the report, that 4 officers should be hired. That recommendation, from what I've been told, was removed from the report and then supplied to the town. Further, 2 administrative studies were conducted in 1992 and in 2005, which both suggested the police department was understaffed. In 2005, the police department was staffed with approximately 1 chief, 3 lieutenants, 4 sergeants, 2 detectives, and 19 uniformed patrol officers, which is a total of 29 members. Of that staffing, 2 of them were out for injuries on the job, and 1 was on administrative leave. The 2005 study suggested 4 uniformed officers be hired and assigned to patrol. In the present time, the department is staffed with 1 chief, 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, 6 sergeants, 4 detectives, and 16 uniform officers, which again is the same number at 29 than it was in 2005. Since 2005, we have grown in certain areas, which was what's needed, but we have not expanded the patrol division. The police department handles roughly 20 to 25,000 calls of service each year. And each year, as you see in the news and firsthand, the calls for service are much more severe. Since the PBA has gone public about the issues at hand, a detective was removed from the Dutchess County Drug Task Force and reassigned to patrol. That position was much needed and has helped to eliminate multiple drug locations in the town. With the heroin epidemic taking place, an officer assigned to the Drug Task Force is essential and needed. There has also been talks of possibly taking a second detective, reassigning him to the road patrol. We also have retired our canine roughly 3 years ago, and that canine, which was much needed and an asset to this town, has not been replaced. The department was built up throughout the last 30-plus years for a reason. It was about providing the residents of East Fishkill with a great place to live. Since the early 80s, the population has more than doubled, commercial and residential buildings have soared, and the calls for police assistance are more complex and ever-growing. Throughout the years, the police department has worked in cooperation with the town board. When it was suggested that times were tough, we took 0% raises. We changed the health care provisions for anyone hired from 2012 and on. We went to a different insurance company to assist with anticipated savings, which was nearly $400,000. In closing, I want to say this. Never more than now have we, the police, become the center of attention. We are under attack from every direction with the media, the public, and the criminals. This profession takes a special kind of person to put a gun, a badge, and a uniform on each and every day of our lives. It consumes you, your life, and your family's lives. With the good comes the bad, and we continually deal with death, heinous crimes, and belligerent people, and do not bat an eye or miss a beat. There is always this unnerving feeling or knot in the stomach that this may be the last time you get to walk out of the door and say goodbye to your family. And knowing that this decision was made because we chose to serve and protect the people of this community. Again, on behalf of the PBA, I want to thank each and every one of you for your show of support tonight.
Thank you. And as I've said, we've always supported our police department. Our police department we've always been very proud of. We've always tried to make whatever funding available, whatever they needed. I will say, when you talk about the medical change, actually we did the change in the insurance, the medical plan 3 or 4 years ago. That was a town board decision. We worked very closely with the PBA and with the CSEA to make sure that everybody was comfortable with the move. Yes, we saved, I believe, $330,000 on that. Something like that, correct, Mark?
Yeah, I think that was...
You could just nod your head yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But as things go, and one of the things that seems to miss is that all went. You know, you say, okay, you saved $330,000, and yes, that was 3 or 4 years ago, but the skyrocketing costs of the medical and the pension. And just to give you an example, a 5-year officer, I think in 2002, the pension cost was... I believe it was something like $800. In 2008, I believe it was $12,000, and this year's $24,000. We don't, and we absorb this to try to keep things moving. We appreciate everything our police department does. There's a lot of costs that go along with it. You have 29 people now. You had 29 people before, but the town has grown, and we understand that. We have provided computers and other things that we hoped would actually help out because we understand technology can go a long way towards helping with man hours. We support you 100%. Again, as far as the people, the public out there, we feel very strongly we have to maintain within the tax cap. We really do. This is a tough economy, and there's a lot of people that are struggling. We've always worked with the police department, and again, if you'd seen what we've done to other budgets and other departments, we've always tried to maintain and do the best. And again, this budget here provides the most funding for the police department. We're doing our best. We would like to work together to resolve these issues. And everybody here claps, and believe me, we support our police department 100%. And I'm not going to comment on any of the public things that have been going on because I just want the police department to know we're with you on this, but we need to work together on it. And so I've identified some places where we can save. We will bring on a new officer as quickly as we can. Hopefully our other officers will get back to good health and get back on the beat, and then we'll see where we can go from there, and that's all I can say. I mean, we all are constricted by budgets, and we are all in the same boat. So we support you 100%. We always have, and we always will. So, anybody else in the audience like to speak on any general town issues?
I'd just like to say a couple things, John. You guys are in a tough position, and you guys are in a tough position. and I've been in the middle of it for years. I'm not anymore, thank God, all right? I just want to clarify something that was said a little earlier about the budget, okay? So everybody's clear on it, because I don't think it was very clear. You had said that we're 51% of the general fund. Just so everybody knows, we're not 51% of the town budget. Because that's what it sounds like, we're 51% of the town budget.
You're absolutely right. We have special budgets, that's about $5 million. That's special water, sewer. We have a highway budget, which is probably around $5 million. And then we have the general town budget, which is all town hall activities, recreation, and the police department. So in the town hall activities, we have the building department, the engineering, planning, all that stuff. So yes, you could separate pretty much highway. But out of
I understand
budget,
that. I just didn't want people to think that we are 51%, or not we, because I'm not there anymore.
And you know, Brian,
but they're not 51% of the town
and
budget.
we have had this discussion. You know, I hate to see, because all due respect, your budget is becoming my budget. I mean, we could just close the door and say, okay, the police are here, and you know, and we need to have a balance with the budgets. We've talked about this, and to be honest with you, the problems that we're facing, and the problems that you face because of the problem is a tax cap, loss of revenue. It's really not I've said this a million times, it's not a spending issue, it's a revenue issue. And the revenue's not there. And what do you do when the revenue's not there? It's a tough decision time, and that's where we are.
And I truly understand that, and I worked with you and other boards and other supervisors for years and years and years, and other controllers and this controller for years on the budget, and I understand all of that, and I know you folks are in a tough position, but the police department is roughly 1/3 of the town budget, correct? Because we have a pie and you cut it up into three.
Town-wide budget, yes.
Yeah, so it's 1/3 of the town budget.
If you include highway.
If you, general
Yes,
fund and
right.
highway
Well, they're all the
is
town
town-wide.
budget, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, well, we don't include the sewer and the water and all those budgets.
listen, I'm a taxpayer in town too, and you folks are in a tough position, and these folks are in a tough position. And I personally think, and you know me, you've known me for years, I think sometimes delivery can solve problems. You know what I'm saying? The way things are delivered to people, I think maybe that can do a lot to eliminate a lot of this, you know, a lot of controversy. The way things are delivered to people, I think sometimes makes things go over better. So maybe more talking and less arguing, maybe we'd be better off. But I think more talking with the PBA president and the town supervisor and the town board members on a personal basis in a room, just sitting and talking rather than arguing and complaining and one saying one thing, one saying another. You get them peed off, you get them peed off. I mean,
Well, we're not
maybe
te-
sometimes.
Well, the thing you don't, in all due respect, we're not teed off. We're in the same, we're with you guys. We support the police department. We will do whatever we can. We do have constraints. I'm not teed off
I
at
understand
anybody.
that. And I'm a taxpayer. I
Yeah.
understand that part
You
of it also.
understand that. And I would love to work together. Sometimes, and I did tell the attorney for the police union that, you know, if you want to have an account, come look at our books. You know, go right ahead. And we're open here. It's tough, and tough decisions have to be
understand that.
made. And we spare the tougher decisions, to the police department. If you see the other departments, especially highway, which seems to be the first one to get kicked, and it's terrible. It is terrible. So we have issues with roads. We have big issues with roads and infrastructure. We have issues, and unfortunately, in this environment, it's very hard to do everything you would like to do. But I
do understand the tax cap, and I do understand the refund of the tax cap, and I do understand it's not set in place for next year.
We're talking about the 2016
Not this year,
levy
the
only.
following year, yes. So that's not a give me the following year. And all I'm referring to is you have a shortage in the highway fund. You have a shortage in the police department fund.
We have
You have a massive shortage in the highway fund.
We have a $700,000
I
shortage in the
understand
highway
that.
fund right now.
But in the big picture, if we all look at the town's budget in the piece of the pie that we all pay as a homeowner, if we look at the town portion of it, what is it, about
I
a
don't know.
quarter
Is it
at the most?
14%.
All right, not even a quarter of your overall tax bill.
No, absolutely not.
And so if you're going to correct these matters, and I know you'd like to do it with revenue, that comes in from sales tax and mortgage tax, but if you're going to correct it, you only have to correct it once. okay? If I'm not mistaken. You only have to correct it once.
I think you're talking one big correction here, aren't you?
I don't know. I mean, you're talking $1 million added to the fund balance for the highway, which gives you the balance you need to do highways every year, because you need $1.5 million for highways every year, right? So
That's just for paving, yeah.
If that and what you need to say hire the 2 officers that were vacated, all right, and add all of those things in, say it comes to an 8% town tax increase, okay?
Right.
How much really is that? $50 a year per household? Is what I'm saying. And if you do it 1 year, if you do it not this year because of what we have, but the following year, if you do it, it's done. You don't have to do it the following year.
No, we understand that.
Yeah.
Believe me, we understand that.
I know you do. I'm just trying to make it clear to everybody else so they understand.
No, I understand that. And, no, absolutely. These are the numbers we're up against. And someday we may have to break the tax cap. And people are struggling out there, too, so we don't want to raise your taxes more than we have to.
I understand.
And you know, Brian, for us, it's a balance.
Yep.
You know, so we're trying to address all those issues.
And you guys all have a tough job, and I think everybody needs to get together and make things better.
I'll say if it snows tomorrow, I don't have a penny to plow snow, and that's one of the problems we have with that $700,000 problem that I have with the highway budget. So there's a lot of things that need to be attended to, and we will work together.
Let's pray for no snow.
I certainly am.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else like this?
I'm a little confused.
You can't speak from back there.
Okay. I'm a little confused on what I'm hearing tonight.
Sure.
With the highway department, I've heard from you multiple times, the budget's been decimated and all. Why did the town board tonight take on more roads at a time when you don't have money?
It's true. No, it's true. And we do this because it's kind of an obligation when we allow a subdivision to be built. At some point, it's predicated upon us taking over the roads. These roads have been out there being maintained by somebody for years and years and years. And yes, we don't like to take them over, but we take them over on behalf of the taxpayers who live on those roads.
Well, maybe you should think about delaying that until you get through this budget thing.
You know, well,
and let whoever's been handling the developer that made all the money on the project, if he's got to handle it for a few more years until the town gets their money straightened out, it'll help things.
It would help things. And we do have an obligation to taxpayers. These people have been waiting a long time for these roads. One of the things that I would like to consider, and I'll probably speak to the planning board about, is instead of having every subdivision having all public roads, let's have some private roads. So it stays with the homeowners association. It doesn't always come to the town, because I think that would help us out. We have a certain responsibility to those people. When they come to the town, they build there, and at some point, they know we're going to take over the road. But if a developer comes in and goes forward to planning board, I think it'd be great if the planning board said, you know, we're not going to plow these roads, because, you know, you'd have a homeowners association do it. So I agree with you, but I do believe that, especially in these cases where they've been waiting many, many years, that, you know, it's something we do owe the taxpayer.
And, you know, you're taking on more roads, and the people that lived in the town for years, our roads are crumbling.
Yeah.
And nothing's being done about it.
Things are
or
being done.
very little is being done
Yeah,
about it.
slowly but surely,
Yes.
and that's all we can do.
Yeah.
But and that again comes back down to the balance. You're paying this and you're not paying that. And absolutely, and my road too.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I want to say thank you. You guys do not have an easy job.
Thank you.
So I'm here because I listened to your work session, and I've heard what you had to say tonight along with the PBA president, and I have a few questions, and this is all new to me. I'm a new homeowner, so maybe you guys can give me some answers. You talk about the tax cap, and you keep saying that we would be getting a refund and there's going to be an overage. What is that refund?
I'll be darned if I know, to be honest with you.
Okay, so we don't even
I
have...
heard about the governor was supposed to give us a refund last year, I think. I never got one, so I don't know. The governor always says, okay, you have to do this, do this. I don't know. I have no idea. I hope Governor Cuomo sent us something.
So we're assuming that we're going, oh, yes, thank you.
We have to, every district that you belong to, school district,
Yes.
town, fire district, as long as they meet the requirements set forth by the state, they will refund you whatever increase there was in your property
Up to the cap.
taxes.
Up to half.
No,
up to the cap.
Up to the,
Oh,
as long,
up to
well,
the
that's
cap.
one of the requirements. You have to be within the cap,
Okay,
and you have to have met their cost savings, shared services program. We had to
And if we
illustrate that
didn't, what would be our penalty?
it's not a penalty, you wouldn't receive the refund. So
Okay,
whatever
so
your tax
I'm
increase
gonna,
was.
I'm just going to assume, we're gonna say it's a $300 refund, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I might be going high, right, for 300
It's
bucks?
going to be, yep.
I can only speak for myself, I cannot speak for the rest of the community, but for $300, put it into that general fund.
Okay.
So that I can have my.
If everybody's okay with a tax increase.
Well, and that's what I was
That's
just going to
the
say. So it
question,
sounds
yeah.
like we're just pulling at straws here. You're saying we don't have the funds, we don't have the money, we can't. So something needs to change. We're not getting a revenue. So maybe it is time to say to the community, we haven't had a tax increase. We haven't raised your budget, or your taxes. And it's time for us to do that now so that our community can stay safe.
Okay.
I am a stay-at-home mother. My husband needs to get out and work. And he needs to do that safely. And when my husband's at work, I need to know that there will be a police officer at my door if there's ever a case that I need to.
But there will be. I mean, again, as I say, a lot of people forget there's state troopers available, there's Dutchess County sheriffs, and there's our own police department. I mean, I do feel we're very
Right.
safe.
Well,
This is not a,
absolutely. But if we're going to say that we're waiting for Dutchess County Sheriff to come to my home, coming from Pleasant Valley, it could take them 20 minutes.
could,
And we've talked about 29 police officers, if I'm correct. Sorry, I'm all over with my notes here. 29 police officers, but we're living on 54 square miles.
53
So-
something, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm assuming here, but we'll say there's 2 officers and a sergeant for 54 square miles. Let's hope that something terrible doesn't happen.
Okay.
Because 2 officers won't be enough.
No, but we've had incidences, and they've been some terrible incidents, and they do have support from others. Like you'll see, a very bad incident could happen, and there will be, our officers will be there, detectives will be called in, state troopers will show up, Dutchess County Sheriff. So there's a lot of support from others during these very bad situations. I think we had somebody ran into the woods with a gun not long ago, and there are other agencies, I do believe, responded to that also. And just to go back to your issue about the taxes, yes, you're absolutely right. We could just raise taxes. I don't know if everybody can afford just to have us raise taxes. I mean, we've always tried to keep taxes. We've always looked out for the public, especially during the recession when things were tough. A lot of people were unemployed, and things aren't really great right now. So, yes, we have a revenue problem, but what we've done, and my philosophy, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'll find out that I'm wrong, is we have to grow our tax base. You can't really, and we could just raise taxes. Maybe the former chief is right. We should just raise taxes 8% and be done with it. And it would make our jobs a whole lot easier. But I'm not sure that I'm ready to just raise taxes on everybody 8%. We are working very, very hard to increase our industrial tax base, which is one of the things we've been working on for quite a while. And actually, there were some very, very interesting opportunities back when IBM was at the site. So we're working very hard to bring the dome in and to do that. But these are longer term. It takes a while to build a tax base. And that's really where we're heading. But absolutely, there might be a time we're just going to raise taxes 8%. I don't know what time that is.
Well, I also have a few other little things here. There was 3 police officers that retired in 2014. So where in the general fund budget did
Well, they didn't, yeah, that all gets eaten up by the pension costs. As I said, the pension costs for the officers, for the 5-year officer, went up from 2008, went up from $12,000 to $24,000.
I could be wrong, but New York State went down 8.5% statewide for the pension costs.
Not for the,
Well,
You might know more than I do.
there was a dip this year for sure,
Mhm.
but, for each of the last, say, 15 years, there's been increases that we've had to absorb without compromising police officer salaries, without compromising police officer equipment. So as an example, the fringe benefits for the police department in 2008 were roughly $1.1 million. In 2015, it'll be $2.1 million. So you say, where did the money go from savings? And I say, well, we were able to increase those costs without having to cut back for all those years. This just brings us level.
Right.
yeah. And the officers that retired, when did you say?
I believe, again, I could be wrong, 2014, I believe that it was in May October.
Okay, who was that that retired?
No,
Was
I
that-
think that's 207C.
We've had a couple officers that have
That-
been out on 207C.
That's fine.
that
So they're no
actually-
longer on your budget.
But the other,
When
but
they
on
go
the-
on 207C, the town pays their full salary until their retirement disability application is approved by the state.
And hasn't that been approved
And
as of
we-
last year?
As of, I believe, early this year.
This year.
Yes.
But-
And we had another officer who would have left at that time period. Took us 12 years to get him off the payroll. The application to the state pension system was turned down 3 times.
So,
And the fourth time.
and when you talk about like the one officer that we paid for 12 years, he wasn't like in rotation, he was a schedule, he was an officer, he was on the books, booked as an officer, but he wasn't working. And then the other one was out for about 3 years.
It sounds to me that the only way that things are only going to get better for us here is if we do a small increase. Nobody wants to see their taxes go to sky high. This is why we moved to Dutchess County. This is why I live in East Fishkill, because I feel safe here, and I feel that you guys work so hard to keep our taxes down. But for me to have a clean street and a police officer when I need him or her, I'd rather a tax increase.
Okay.
And you keep saying that you have an obligation to the taxpayers, and I'm pretty sure that us taxpayers just want to be safe here.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for
very
your time.
much.
Hi, my name is Laura Labasi. This lady touched upon everything I was writing down as you were speaking. Firstly, I would like to all the police officers here, thank you so much for everything you do. Our town needs you, appreciates you. I don't know any of you. I'm a new resident here myself. Within 3 years, but it's still new. So I very much appreciate that, coming from a family of LEOs myself. So that being said, as far as the tax cap, going over budget, what have you, somebody mentioned $6 a household. Seriously, we waste more than that on coffee in a week. Like, I personally would be willing to extend a couple extra dollars per paycheck to make sure and ensure that we have yet another police officer, 2 or 3, on our streets.
Okay.
That comes from having a personal experience of being a new resident in this town, okay? My alarm had gone off, and I didn't know that the alarm company set it to the trooper barracks. I'm little, I'm 5'4". I have 2 little girls who were panic-stricken to go in their house, okay? I got a phone call telling me that the troopers were called, my alarm was going off. I had just left the house, clueless as to what was going on. Kids were afraid to go back home. I had to go back home because I'm getting phone calls, no disrespect. They didn't know where my house was, okay? Had it been my local police department down the street, they would have been there like that. I waited an hour for a trooper to show up. I'm sure he was busy. You know, stuff goes on. Again, 5'4½", I had to secure my own home to be able to get my children in the house. Thank God it was just my motion sensor faulty. But seriously, guys, what if there was somebody in the house armed? I had nothing. So that's a concern of mine. We do need more officers, okay? Again, the lady touched upon 3 top pay guys out. Where's that money? Where's that money? You can get at least 2 more, if not more, new coming in for the salary that they topped out at. That's one. That's the other thing. Police department is the only entity that runs 24/7. 24/7. Everything else gets a chance to go home and shut down for a period of time. Holidays, weekends, what have you.
Yeah, we know that.
These men and women do not have that luxury. They need the backup. They need to be able to rest, to take care of themselves. Please, I listen to you. Just give me a moment. Take care of themselves, to be on the streets, to do what they have to do for our community. So they need the relief to be able to do that. And my question is that how many troopers are there per shift that they can come in and back up our PD, because the response time is going to be quite vast. I mean, who has time when somebody's life is at stake? Or who has time when, you know, somebody got hit by a car, God forbid? They're our first responders, and we need more of them here in this town. Like I said, I'm new. I just moved up here 3 years ago, but this community is important to me because this is where I plan on growing old and having my children have their children here. So I appreciate you really seriously looking into things. And again, I'm more than happy to put a couple extra dollars aside to be able to give these guys what they need.
Okay, thank you.
How are you? Good evening. My name's Billy Quick. I've been a resident here for over 13 years in East Fishkill. Just a couple of things. I was at the meeting last week, here again tonight, and it seems to start off with the notion that we go after things that were said on the website, and we're telling everybody about all the injuries and things like that. No one needs to know all that. I mean, especially with the injuries. That's a personnel matter. A lot of these things are HIPAA protected. Why can't we just cut to the chase? And instead of he said, she said, this one, that one, give everybody that number. Give everyone the hard number of what it's going to cost to fund what we need funded, and let everybody make that decision. I mean, it's quite simple, really, if you think about it. Instead of all this bureaucracy and nonsense, just give us a number. Tell us what it is. I'll write you a check right now for whatever my share is. I've been here for 13 years. Every single year, my school tax goes up. Every single year. I didn't pack up and leave. No one else packed up and left. The school tax goes up, and it's going to go up no matter what. So, you know, you have these huge developers coming in and putting up McMansions and houses all over the place. They pay a certain percentage to wherever they pay. Why not add a little more to these guys? They got plenty of money. They want to put these houses up. Tell them, give me some more money. Put it in an escrow account. Set it for the police or the fire or whatever.
Is that legal? No, we've tried that before, but it's not legal.
The impact tax that the state legislature allows you
We've tried
to
that.
When I remember back in the 90s when
is for recreation.
When the Jehovah's came into Patterson and they wanted to buy that entire farm and put up all their stuff, the town of Patterson said, no, we don't have the apparatus to help you if there's a fire.
Right.
They turned around and they wrote a check to the town of
Fire
Patterson.
department's different, separate tax district.
But
And
there's
they have
no way
different
they can
rules.
put something in an escrow?
If a not-for-profit has to utilize your services, water, sewer, fire, they have to
Right.
pay for that.
Okay.
They don't pay general town tax, they don't pay school taxes. The only fee that you can impose on a new home
Mhm.
by a developer under state law is up to $6,000 for recreation.
Okay.
We have had the argument before, why shouldn't it be for the school district, an impact fee, et cetera? The state legislature will not change that, or has not changed it.
So then can you assign someone to the recreation? You know what I mean? Like assign an officer to the recreation?
No, the money from recreation has to go for capital, to build more parks, fixtures. It can't go for your operations of park. It's very limited what you can
but I
do.
mean, we don't need more parks.
And the other
really.
issue.
But that's the state law.
Yeah,
That's
and
not-
the-
We don't need more
Yeah,
parks.
we've talked to our state representatives about that many times, and they're not going to budge. And then the other thing is we have officers that are out, and I do feel that part of the issues that we have, the strain that the department is feeling now, is just having so many people out. So do we replace those people that are out? I mean, I'm hoping they
It's a
come.
difficult job. It's a
The best-
24/7 job where
Yes,
these
but the
guys
best-
can get hurt like
The
that.
best thing would be if they recover and come back. Like I said, I've never seen this many people out at the same time. So what we
It
need.
would be best, but
Yes.
sometimes best isn't always
Just
feasible.
yeah.
Recovery is, everybody recovers
I understand
different.
that.
You know what I mean? That's a crazy kind of thing to say, recover and come back.
Yeah.
The bottom line is they're 24/7. They're the ones who come when we need them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There has to be something somewhere that they can
Okay.
work out. I mean, especially if we know what that number is, why
have no
can't we
problem
just
with that.
put that out
Okay.
to everybody? Put
I'm
that number
hearing
out to
this.
everybody if people are going to mind.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind.
The other question I have, just a more of a direct question is, I've heard that there were instructions, orders may be given to the police chief to tell their guys not to actively be in the rec areas, the parks, unless
No.
they're required to be there?
No, they usually run, I don't know how many people they run in the park. I see officers
No,
in the
I
park.
mean, what I was told was that there was an order passed along to the police chief that basically said, keep all the cops out of the rec area.
No.
Don't just sit there. It's not
Never
accurate.
heard of that one.
Oh, okay, I just want to know, because that really makes no sense whatsoever.
Never heard of
Okay.
that.
All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Yep.
Can I ask the town attorney, a lot of people said raise the taxes. Is there a provision, can we put on the ballot and have the people vote if they want their taxes raised?
No, the
Have
way-
people decide?
The way the state legislature set up the tax cap, if the town board wanted to consider, and you couldn't probably do it for this year, you wouldn't have the timing sequence, and what the legislature has said is that the town board has to hold a public hearing to enact the law to allow the town board to override the cap. So first you have to go through advertisement of that public hearing, enact that local law. Then, when you propose your budget, and the state law requires the budget public hearing has to be held before November 10th, and it has to be adopted by November 20th. So our budget is already advertised for public hearing November 5th. State law required the supervisor to file it by September 30th. So the budget for 2016 is already into that sequence, and you couldn't advertise, get a law adopted to address this. But if you did have the law, it then takes 4 affirmative votes of the town board to adopt a budget that exceeds the cap.
But, so we couldn't put a referendum like?
No,
the
you
school
cannot,
district?
unless the legislature says a law can go out for referendum, you cannot do it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brenda DeLuca, and I'm here this evening because I am a spouse of a police officer, 20-plus years, a former employee of the New York State Police dispatcher for 10 years, a mother of 2 children, and a friend and a supporter of this amazing town and police department. And I do have some things to address. I promise just to take a moment of your time, and it's with all due respect. I'd like to make that right now, because I can't promise where this is going to go. You have stated 13 times, I counted, you are in 100% support of the police department. I beg to differ.
Okay.
The reason I beg to differ is because you state, well, we'll call the state police, or we'll call the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. The state police does not have full coverage either on any given shift. Speaking from a spouse's perspective, and on behalf of my children that are 21 and 18 and have grown up with their father doing nothing else and loving it and being loyal to it, and to all of you in East Fishkill, how do you tell your child or other spouses that may get the phone call that their father or husband was shot and died because the state trooper that was called was in Milan or Northern Dutchess County or tied up at the jail? How do you explain to your child or another spouse DCSO was busy with 1 apprehended and 2 men on their way to the jail, so they couldn't get to East Fishkill to help your father or your uncle or your brother or your mother? So I beg to differ that you are 100% supportive when you're putting a valuation on my husband, our friends, of, let me get this right, $6 a household a year? Is that correct?
That's
Am I
what
wrong?
I'm told. I haven't
No, I
checked the
know.
numbers.
It doesn't matter.
That's what somebody said before.
But even just acknowledging that in that frame of mind is an insult to every man and woman that wears that badge.
Okay.
Because let me tell you something. You cannot, and I am so upset that you could even venture to say there is a value that we can express on their lives. And I am so disheartened that, yes, the roads are in disrepair, and you're struggling like every other town. But let's come down to a personal level. These men protect your townspeople. They protect you, these men and women. And they do it selflessly, on no sleep, shaking when they leave because they may have just worked a double and come in for a meeting and have to go back and work another double and maybe cover another 4 because we do have injured officers, God bless them. So we sit at home and we shake and we pray that that phone, in my case, doesn't ring after 11 o'clock at night, because do you know what that means? Something's happened. So don't you dare put a $6 valuation on my husband or any man or woman that wears the badge.
No, I would not put a $6 household value on anybody's life, and I do appreciate everything our police do. Obviously, from the tone, I can tell everybody says that we should just raise taxes, and certainly that will be considered. I attend a lot of police functions with the mayors and supervisors or the police chiefs' dinners, and I guess I must be wrong, but I'm always told that our police department works so well with the Dutchess County Sheriffs and with the state troopers. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe they don't work together that well. Maybe it is supposed to be the state troopers aren't supposed to come in. I was always told that we had a very good working relationship. Maybe that's not true. No, but just, excuse me, but I just want to say, excuse me, but just sit down 1 minute. But my understanding, when I talk to the 911 people, you call in 911. They poll, they don't send, I don't believe they poll the closest car. It could be a sheriff, it could be a state trooper. I don't know if I think they poll. This is what I'm told. They poll the closest car. I do not think they would get a car from Milan if they had somebody closer. We do have our officers too. We're just asking them to back us up and give us some protection until we can get our people back.
I just want to clarify a couple things because my name's Ryan Angeletti. I've been a East Fishkill resident my entire life. Me, along with 29 other officers, we got this badge. We wear the town's patch for a reason, all right? And I was out in the drug task force for the last 5 years, and I'm very thankful for working with everybody out there. It's not the fact that we don't want the sheriff's office or the state police to help us out. We all took an oath to protect the people in East Fishkill. And that's what we want to do. And we want to do it professionally and without any other regard, whether it's politics or anything else. So I don't think the issue is that we're not going to work well with them. But I think if we're going to call ourselves a full-time police department, then we should be a full-time police department. That's all. I think that's all is being said. So I don't want anything to be misconstrued that we don't work well with them. We work well with all the agencies. We're in about probably 15 committees throughout the county. And that's why we're saying the number is 32. We're told that we're getting 29. If we didn't stand up here and stand up for ourselves, then this is not why we took the job. We took the job because we want to protect the people in East Fishkill. I'd love the state police to come in the sheriff's office, but you know what? We want to do it. I don't want to call them to help us out. I want to take care of my own dirty laundry. So it's not that we don't want them. We just want the proper staffing. It's 32. Keep us at 32. Or if you can't this year and the tax cap is gone next year, then say that. Then work together and come to an agreement rather than just we don't have the money, the salt, this and that. We need 32 guys to function. We're not asking for 45 guys and 10%, this and that.
Okay.
So let's try to sit down and work it out and not throw stones or not call, well, we'll just call a state police. It's not that easy. And I just want you to understand on a personal level, each guy here took an oath to protect East Fishkill. And we want to do it. We don't want anybody else to do it. And we just asking for some manpower. So
we understand that.
Thank you.
I understand also, you have 29 now?
Yeah.
You'll have 30 by the end of January, and we have to get you 2 more. I believe that's the number that you're looking for, 32? That's the magic number that we're looking for.
That would make us whole.
Okay, all right. And the others, and like I said, the one that was out for 12 years on 2C was never in rotation.
Well, that process is
but that was a whole different thing. Okay. No, I'm just trying to put this into perspective. 32 is the amount of officers that we need. We take an oath too. We are town board members. We take an oath to serve the public, and we serve it in many different ways. Obviously,
you do a great job.
Obviously, you do it in police matters. We do it in our matters also. We try to do our best. I'd always been one to try to keep taxes as low as possible. I try think of the people that possibly, are just getting by, obviously.
We don't have to raise taxes, but if we...
No, I don't, there's going to be, obviously, the way this is going, I don't, I've asked, the way the audience tonight is basically raise taxes and give us more officers. I mean, that's what I take from this. So we'll see what we can do.
Well, I take from it that we can sit down and maybe not have 32 right off the bat.
Well, I mean, that's what we're asking. I said I'd give you 30 by January.
John, you're missing the point.
No.
It's the communication is what I'm telling you. I'm not asking for 32 guys November 4th or November 5th. I'm just saying, let's work to get there. And if the tax cap is gone next year, then say that to us, instead of just saying we don't have money. And we can do this on a committee basis and not in something like this. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Not just
We'll work together.
Not just the 32 guys, okay, need that? No, that's not what I'm saying. But let's work to get there.
But I need to know where we're getting. And if that's where we need to get, that's where we'll need to get. But I need to know that. You can't just say to me, we need, and when I get all the reports, we are supposed to have so many over, so many over. So give me a number. 32 is the number we need to get to. We can get there.
I think we need to sit down as a whole over lunch.
That's what I'm asking.
And I've been saying that with you a number of times. I said it with the guys that left here a number of times. I think we've got to sit down as a group of people
But I just want to
and have a conversation
we want to take care of it.
without people. I understand that. This is your town, this is my town, this is their town. We're all proud of it. And we're all proud of the police department. And talking to everybody, I mean, right now, we are short. Our house is on fire, as we said in a meeting a week ago. We need to protect ourselves now.
Right.
And if I go out and I hire 2 guys out of the academy today, well, first I got to send them to the academy. It gives me nothing on the road for a year. Brian, a year? Year and a
For a
half?
year.
For a new guy, it takes a year.
A year and a half. That doesn't help us. That's a brand new guy. That's why we said a couple months ago, try to find somebody. That's somebody that has been trained, and it actually works out even better because the guy
We're
is...
very gracious.
And if I can get him, if we can get him as a board in the police department, I think that kid can be on the road in 2 weeks because he's from here. He worked for the police department. He knows the computer systems. He knows everything about them. That's more beneficial than 2 guys out of the academy tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's my opinion, but I fully believe there should be a round table, sit down, leave the gloves home,
Yes. Talk.
bring your jeans, T-shirt. Don't come in one of those disguises you used to wear for the last 4 years, and we can talk. That's my opinion.
Okay.
My name is Artie George, and I'm also a member of the East Fishkill Rescue Squad. If you have never rode in the back of our ambulance and spent time where you get to a house and you don't know what's inside, these guys are there first. If it's, we have a lot of heroin overdoses in this town.
I know that.
And they're firsthand with the Narcan. They're firsthand setting up with an AED. They're doing compressions before we even get there. And we try our hardest to man that ambulance and do what we can. Start taking them away. And I know myself, waiting for a trooper or a deputy is a joke. That goes back to when I was fire police, and we stood out there for hours with a fatality. Why? Because they had nobody.
Okay.
So I just want to, I'm with these guys.
Understood. The only thing I could say is, I guess, when I spoke about bringing in the sheriffs and the state troopers was to supplement while we were waiting for ours to come back. Now, obviously, or unfortunately, and I do worry when that one woman said that, they're doing double shifts, and we can't have that either. So we need to have an immediate help. And if we can have state troopers or deputy sheriffs provide some amount of coverage just so that our people are not running around the clock as they are now until we can we're down 5. I had never thought. We were down, what's this, October, probably in June, we were down 1 officer, the one that had the back surgery, and then we had another one go out on the torn Achilles heel that was a non-work related. He came back and I said, well, great, we're only down 1 officer. And then boom, we had 2 more go out, then 2 more go out immediately. So we're facing a situation where I had thought that possibly we could reach out to the other agencies for backup and to help.
You also see the war that is on with cops. Another cop was shot and killed in the city.
Mhm.
You don't think that that could happen up here? And we only have 1 or 2 cops on the road at night? It's a joke. Really got to think about protecting ourselves.
There's only one way to settle this, John.
Yeah.
Raise the damn taxes on
Okay.
everybody.
Sounds good, Marty.
Good night.
Thank you, Marty. Well,
Mr. Hickman, I'm not so sure I can be as short as that previous gentleman. My name is Mike McLennan. Good evening. I'm a little confused. I hear this number 29, I hear this number 32. Is there an authorized manning count force for the police department? And if so, what is that?
what's in the budget, Mark? 29?
There's 29 positions in the budget for 2016.
And out of those 29, how many are out injured? So you have 24 officers working for 29 positions, and 29 people are being compensated for pay, correct?
29 officers and 29 people in the police department are being paid for.
It's correct, but you have 24 people filling 29 positions because 5 people are out.
Correct.
Right? Which creates overtime. So if you know what you have an authorized manning force, and you got 5 people that are out indefinitely, why are we waiting till now to start processes to get them back online and refill those positions?
Because of what Councilman Cassidy just said, if you get him out of the academy, it takes a year before on the road. We just authorized the hiring of another officer, which we had already vetted, and I said we will hire him in January. I don't know, I mean, where we would get other officers. We do like to know the officers we're hiring.
I understand it, but didn't I hear somebody was out already 3 years?
No, those,
They were out on 207C.
Is that
we
a
have
injury?
out of the 5 that are out now.
Oh, for now,
none of them
I'm
are
sorry.
gone. None of them are hopefully gone.
So you're expecting all 5 of them to be returned?
Yes, they're all recent absences. They're all recent absences. The longest is 8 or 9 months of this group.
Okay. Well, when the requirement was determined 2932, did anybody figure that police officers have X amount of sick days, X amount of vacation times, bereavement, and all those other days that we give them off, like every other employee who works,
Right.
to compensate for that and say, you need 2.5 people annually to cover all those vacant positions? Is there anything in the plans for that? Or do we just not don't look at that?
Basically, we went by recommendation of the police chief over the years. We've always worked very closely with the chief of police, and the numbers always seem to work pretty well. I mean, right now, we're having this issue with the people being out, and it's been brought up, the town has grown, so.
It's substantially the same number of spots as existed last year and the year before. What's missing are people that were out on long-term disability.
Right, but as these people get older, and as a new officer becomes from 1 year to 10 year, he goes from 1 week's vacation to, say, 4 weeks vacation. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I'm just giving an example. Now, instead of having 25 weeks of vacation annually for the police department, you got 242 weeks vacation. Well, 242 weeks of vacation converts into another 5 officers to fill those spots or overtime to fill them.
Right.
So you got to plan like that accordingly as the agency gets older and more people get more seniority.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just want to pass a comment voicing what the Councilman Cassidy said before. You know, things have to be monitored. Costs have to be monitored. I mean, I've expressed and I've suggested that we meet at least every quarter to see where the department is at, because overtime is a great concern. And I'd rather hire a new officer rather than wasting $250,000 in overtime. So, you know, it is about the community, it is about the officers, great concern, but $250,000 in overtime, I don't even want to see it. And it is our responsibility to address that. So So I suggest, not only with the police department, but also with the highway department, that we meet 4 times a year, the board, with the department heads, and see there are sick individuals that are off the list of officers right now, and how we address that. We had an officer that was sick for 15 years and was receiving full pay. That's an issue, okay? That's an issue for the taxpayers. That's an issue for me. So I'm all for the police department and for the community and taking care of that, but you also have to work and monitor the sick leave. If an officer cannot come back, we have to see. I mean, nobody wants to bump anybody off, but again, they are compensated pretty well. But we need to replace officers that for 15 years are not on the road with new officers. And that's, I agree with you, we have to plan that with them. We have to put it together.
Right, but let me just make something clear. When you say $250,000 in overtime costs, that sounds like a big number, and it is a big number. But if you hire an officer to replace that, that might take 2 officers, and with their benefits and their pension plans and their insurance funds, that cost may go to $400,000. So be careful what you wish for, because you're not always going to get what you want.
The new hirees, they go on a different pension plans right now. So the officers that were on one plan years ago, they are receiving the most money in pensions right now. The new officers that come in, I mean, if I got to put 2 officers and save still $50,000, it would be beneficial to everybody. My concern is that, yes, we could take care of staff in the police department and save money at the same time. And that takes plan, but the planning has to be together. We have to talk. We have to sit down and plan it together. And it can't be done just from one year to the next. It's got to be a constant monitoring of what's going on. So,
I just wanted to make a comment about what you had just said about the individual that had been on disability for 12 years. That wasn't that individual or your police department or you guys. That was the state. The state will drag their feet and allow it to go on for as long as it will until it got kicked back. I'm sorry, how many times did you say? 4 times.
4 times.
That wasn't you. That wasn't you. That wasn't the police department. That's the state. And you had made your comment about $250,000. That's a lot of money. But if you hired even a transfer that could start in 2 weeks, it wouldn't be $250,000, and that would alleviate your overtime. Getting paid at a time and a half cost versus a regular pay. We can all do the basic math. So I just wanted to say that it's not the officers. I can speak from personal experience that my husband would rather be home than working 16 hours and being away from his 3 kids. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
yeah, the comment was not, it was our fault, and definitely when I am not blaming anybody in particular, especially the officers. I'm just saying that these are the numbers, and I'd rather see savings and hiring new individuals to be put on the road. I'm all for that. So we do, though, have to monitor what's going on. That's to be accountable to the whole town and to the whole taxpayers' base. So.
But we will have that new transfer by January.
Mr. Supervisor, Councilman, good evening. My name is Rocco Limatone. I'm a committee member. Committee member at District 15. And I spent a lot of time knocking on doors and talking to people in District 15. And a lot of the times the issues come up about taxes and the budget. But before I get into that, I want to say, number one, I support the police department 120%. I watched my father put on that uniform every morning. I watched my grandfather come home with that uniform. My aunt, my uncle, other members of my family have been in law enforcement many, many, many years. And I was always proud of them and proud of the things they did. And as a kid, I always felt that anxiety that some people talked about here, that Dad may not come home tonight because something may happen to him. And I understood what someone said about that phone call late at night. I mean, I was younger, but I'm sure my mother understood it better. With that said, a few people have talked about raising taxes. My concern is, we must have thought we were coming to this point. Over the years, something must have happened to bring us to this point where all of a sudden, our first decision, maybe not a first decision, but one of our decisions was to cut the police department or not to fund the police department. And I'm wondering, was it wrong decisions that were made? I don't have the answer, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But were there decisions made that maybe weren't good for the community, that all of a sudden we have to start cutting the police department? Number two, why is it that the police department gets targeted first? They are our first line of defense. I have a story similar to someone else that came up here. When I first moved here over 10 years ago, the alarm company wired me to the state police because they didn't realize that we had a local police department. My alarm went off by accident. It took 45 minutes for a state trooper to get there. Thankfully, it was nothing. It wasn't an issue. But still, 45 minutes for a police officer to get there. Now they've wired it to East Fishkill PD, and the one time, and hopefully the last time, that I had to call them, someone was there in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe the most. So I wonder why the first step is to look at, I wonder why the first step is to look at the police department. Now, I've run several...
I would like to just answer that when you get done, though.
Okay. I've run several small businesses. I still run a small business. I run a home checking account. And I know if you're bringing home X amount of dollars and you're spending this amount of money, something has to give. Either you have to make more money or you have to spend less. So where do you spend less? Do we say, well, honey, you know what? We're going to eat 1 meal a day. No more 3 meals a day. You know what? We're going to wear the same clothes 3 days a week and not buy clothes. No, you don't go there. You say, okay, you know what? We're not going to go out to eat 2 nights a week. We're going to go out to eat 1 night a week. You know what? We're not going to go on this vacation to the Caribbean. We're going to go to Atlantic City. My point is, I am sure, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure, that there were opportunities to cut and find money rather than taking the money from our police department, which again is our first line of defense in this town. And we need a strong police department. We need a police department that's rested. When these guys, I remember when my father worked overtime. He came home and he got a couple hours sleep and right back out the door. We never saw him. So I can understand what these families are saying. They're not seeing their father. They're not seeing their spouse. So it's very important, number one, that they be rested. Number two, that they be happy. So I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, I'm sure there was opportunities over the last 10 years. I'm sure there were writings on the wall where we could have made some cuts, whether it's different departments, manpower in different departments, I don't know. I'm not up there. You guys have a hard job, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you how to do it. All I can stand here and tell you that from someone who's ran businesses for several years, that you don't cut the essentials. And the essentials are the safety of our community, and the essentials are our police department. I'm sure there has to be other areas where these cuts can be made, or there were other areas where maybe spending was just a little bit too haphazardly, and it caused us to get here. And I don't know.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. We haven't cut the police budget. As a matter of fact, this budget, in the 2016 budget, is the highest police budget we've ever had in the town of East Fishkill. So I just want to let you know we
Well, let me rephrase that.
No,
let me
just
rephrase that.
let me just say that one more
you've
time.
Been speaking a lot, John.
Excuse me, no, I'm speaking. I just want to make sure you understand, we didn't cut the police budget, and it has been increased for the next year. So I just want you to know that.
Okay. But at the same, well, wait a minute. You just said you haven't cut the police budget, okay, and you just said it's being increased for next year.
And it's being increased in this next budget, yeah.
So then why do you not want to hire new police officers? If you're saying you're increasing the police budget.
The police budget is going up, yes.
Okay, you're saying you're increasing the police budget, but at the same time, we're standing here standing up for our police department, because if Brian did not post something on Facebook, none of these people would have been here. It would have been 3 men in a room, just like in Albany.
No, it wouldn't.
It would have been 3 men in a room, just like in Albany, trying to cut deals. I commend him for putting on Facebook and getting a public reaction, a public response. Because you know what? This is our town. We need to know what's going on. And you know what? If we make a consensus that, hey, we want to pay more taxes, it's our decision.
Good.
If we make a consensus and say, hey, we want you guys to look and see where the spending went haywire and see where different cuts could be made rather than to our police department, then that's something you guys have to look at.
We didn't cut the police department.
I heard what you said, and I didn't
I'm not
say
sure
that.
you did. I just want to make sure.
I heard what you said. Yeah, you said it 3 times.
I know, I might probably have to say it 4.
Say it 5 times. Okay, but at the same time, we're still here talking about not having enough cops. So you could say it 10 times, 11 times, 12 times. At the end of the day, we're sitting here talking about why we don't have enough police coverage in our town. We're sitting here talking about officers working double shifts. As Councilman Marinaro said, we're sitting here talking about all this overtime we're paying. There must be other solutions. There must have been opportunities over the past 10 years to stop this from happening. I don't know, but I'm putting that out there. And I think with those opportunities, I think we missed them. And that led us to where we are now. And it just bothers me that the first thing we're going to look at is the police department, and it bothers me that none of us would have known this if it wasn't posted on Facebook. None of us would know. And I heard you made a comment, a couple other made a comment, well, we don't like that they put it on, and I'm paraphrasing, we don't like that it was on Facebook, that was wrong to do that, it was wrong to put it out there. No, it was 100% right. This is our town, this is our community, this is our police department. It's 100% right for them to put their grievance out there so the public could be here, stand here, and support them. And I'm sorry if I'm raising my voice because I get a little excited when it comes to this. But, and again, John, listen, you got a hard job up there. You guys got a hard job. And I understand it. It's very, very difficult to balance a budget. Extremely difficult. It's hard to balance my, matter of fact, last time I had my wife look over my checkbook because I think I messed up something. So it's hard even to balance your checkbook. But were decisions made that maybe weren't right, that led us to this position that we're in now? It's possible. I think we need to solve this. And the answer isn't always raising taxes. Yeah, that's the easy way. The answer isn't always raising taxes because we have revenue coming in. The answer could be being more business friendly, getting more businesses in here, getting more small business owners in here to supplement our tax base. The answer could be not putting subsidized housing, more subsidized housing in that doesn't add to our tax base, but at the same time takes away from the police department and other agencies. And I don't know. I'm just bringing up some different ideas that maybe, listen, I don't have the answers. I'm bringing up ideas as a citizen. And as a leader of my community in District 15, people have spoken to me and they have voiced their opinion on these issues. And I'm relaying those issues to you guys because that's my job. That's what I need to do. So that's my piece. That's what I have to say. In closing, again, 100% support for our police department. I hope that you guys can work it out, that you can get together, get in a room, figure out what's going to be done, let the public know, because we need to know. We need to be part of these discussions just like we're here tonight. This is our town. Thank you.
All right, just to respond again, I feel I have to say we're not cutting the police department budget. This is the biggest police department budget we've had since the inception of the police department of the town of East Fishkill. A couple items I would like to point out. Part of the problem with this is having a certain number of officers out of work right now due to different injuries. Problem with that is they all continue to get paid. They continue to get paid. So that means that to bring on the first officer, which we're going to bring on in January, we're going to bring on a transfer, is approximately $80,000. To bring on that officer for first year. So when you want to look further down the road, it's cumulative, so you have to be careful, hiring new officers. There's a cost that goes up every year with that. So you have to be very careful as far as hiring. We try to do our best. We've always had a good relationship with our police chief as far as staffing. And this is, I believe, we've said a crisis because of certain injuries. But we do have to keep, we will keep paying the people that are out. Hopefully they will get back. The subsidized housing remark, I just have to say, there is a workforce housing project. It's for people that have jobs, and it is for some people with disabilities. Will be across the street, and they will be paying probably a pilot or some payment in lieu of taxes, so they will be paying their share. But it is difficult. You know, I know the statement was made, the police are the first ones that you cut, and nothing could be further from the truth. They haven't been cut, to be honest with you. We've always tried our best to maintain a strong, viable police department, and that's about it. So just want to say that.
Good evening. Probably going to add a little more pressure on you guys at this point, but I think that a volunteer council members would be a good idea. I think there might be a lot of people out here that would be willing to serve this community without having to have paid council members. That would be a savings to all of us. And if we're not going to go to volunteer council members, I think that we need term limits. Does anybody have any comments on that?
I'm commented out tonight. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
I am only in favor of term limits. I think that the town board should have a 3-term limits, and then they should go back to the community. That would be very healthy. It's something that I support strongly. The other thing, this board has to be elected. It cannot be volunteer. I agree also.
Well, it could be elected without pay.
Well, I would be willing to do that without pay, yes.
Well, thank you for that. And I would think that there's a lot of other people out here that would be willing to do the same. So there would be a good savings right there. Thank you.
Good evening. I recognize some faces up there. My name is Mike Richards. I'm a lifelong resident in the town of East Fishkill, up until recently, although I just acquired a property over on Kensington Drive, so I'm going to be back home again. I've been a fireman in this town for 27 years, and an EMT. And let me tell you, I can honestly say I have never served with better police officers than the town of East Fishkill. There has been numerous times when we've gotten the scenes and we look to those guys for guidance, we look to them for protection, we look to them for help, and we look to them for a spare set of hands when we need them. And we've never been denied. You're in a tough situation, but as a taxpayer, I can tell you I would gladly pay an increase in my taxes to know that my family was safe when I'm away. We talked about the injuries. Well, have you all thought, since I've been a fireman, I've seen our call volume triple. And I can guarantee you that when that ambulance rolls and that town policeman's right behind me, his volume's going up too. Have you all thought about the heroin problems that are going on here? Maybe Sergeant Keefe could attest to the amount of officers that are injured due to the increase in violent responses that these guys have had to deal with. You know, years ago when I was growing up, you didn't walk into a house and have 2 cops wrestling around with a heroin addict. These guys have a dangerous job to do. So to make, at least from my point of view, listening to it tonight, it was kind of accusational that these officers are injured. And before we cross that threshold, I suggest and think you guys should really look at what's causing their injuries. Is it the fact that they're overworked, that they're understaffed? Or is it the fact that we've been dropping the ball on getting our staffing where it needs to be? And as far as fixing the problem now, have any of you thought about hiring per diem officers that you can get in here and not pay benefits to, but pay a salary and get these guys the relief they need?
Where would you get a per diem officer?
I'm sure if you posted something on Indeed, you might get one or two people from, maybe retired from the village of Fishkill, that would come back into service. Maybe personal security agents that could easily get sworn in.
That's an idea. Good point.
So, I mean, there are resources out there if you can tap them. So I caution you on that. And I think you should all be proud to know that this town has one of the finest police departments I've ever worked with. And I've been in a lot of places. And I'm very proud to call them my friends and my colleagues. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, so that you know, this weekend, we had a forum over here Saturday about drug abuse, and I sat for the first time, and I've listened to exactly what you just described now. I was not aware of that stuff. Usually they say that when they recover, they're very violent, to be careful how to handle that. So it was, it was something new for me.
Yeah.
We need to work together, okay? That's the bottom line. It's not just one person over another. I love the police department, and I've worked with them even lately, but we need to work together, this board, with them, not just once a year when it's this time. We need to constantly be together. We need to really work together. So this is the message I want to put out, that I personally support them 100%, but we need to work together, because it is everybody's town. And, everybody says tonight over here, yes, raise taxes. I talk to a lot of people that they want to move out of the area because they can't afford the taxes. Now, it's not because of the town. It's because of the schools. Okay, our school taxes are astronomical. But yet, everybody tonight, I attended this, and I hope that everybody will come back and listen to our concerns. But I've been sitting until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at the Wapaja School District. No one comes over there and talks about reducing the taxes. Those taxes that we give those people that waste our money, $250 million a year, we could very well put it to our local police department. I support the police department, but this community should spend some time in those board meetings and tell those knuckleheads that they're wasting our millions of dollars of money. That's the reality.
Yep.
I've been saying this over and over again. We need your support, because they're not listening to us. And again,
Very good
80%
point.
of our taxes that we collect go to them. And they spend it, they waste it. And look what we have to do to keep our police department going. So,
Very, very good point.
let's work together. We need to work together.
Well,
Thank you.
very good point. The Wapager Central School District is about 82% of your total tax bill. It's a huge part of the tax bill. In regards to the heroin issue, we just sponsored, we didn't sponsor, we let the room out, and they had a Narcan training session just past Saturday morning. This heroin epidemic is huge, and it's something that we're all very concerned about, so. Yes.
Good evening, members of the town board, Mr. Supervisor. My name is John Curzio. I want to address several aspects of the budget tonight, going more into the figures. I was disappointed with the proposed budget. It does absolutely nothing to address the debt crisis, $24 million in debt. I know you said that the town is allowed up to $250 or so million in debt, but that does not mean that it's right to go $24 million in debt. Just because you're allowed something doesn't make it right or justifiable.
We'll pay it off in 20 years. It's all scheduled like a mortgage on the house.
Well, it keeps going up. It's gone up $4 million in the past 4 years, $1 million a
We bought
year.
another water system. That's what happens. We take over water sewer systems, we fix them, and then we pay the mortgage off over 20 years.
Okay, but there's no downward trend. It's going up. It's $24 million. 2011, it was $20 million or
You'll find a
19.
lot of these local these local public water and sewer systems, the water systems are in need of taking over, unfortunately, for the public.
Well, this Like I said, the budget does nothing to address that. Also, it raises the salary of the town council members and the supervisor. It continues health benefits for the town board and the pension system. These are full-time benefits given to a part-time position.
Pension system.
And that should be removed.
I think town board members only get a certain percentage. It's like a very long process.
Well, no,
to
but
be
this was put in that health benefits were
vested.
given to the, and this wasn't this year's budget, this was before, but health benefits were put in, pensions were put in, and this is a part-time position. And these are full-time benefits. The problem isn't that government and this town taxes too much, it's that it spends too much. And this budget does not adequately fund our police, and the suggestions from last week's meeting, and Christmas, and recreation, and community day, those aren't the solutions. We have to start responsible and sensible budgeting. Right now, that is not the case. And those aren't my words. Those are the report and words of the New York State Comptroller's Office. They placed East Fishkill in the bottom 2%, the bottom 15 of 1,000 municipalities across New York State. And that's unacceptable. And this was the result of this town board's irresponsible management of funds.
Well, we did have to put
And it's
on snow
alarming
last
that this
year.
board has disregarded that fact, that we are significantly fiscally stressed. Almost 6 months ago, myself and one other individual suggested to you, Mr. Supervisor, that you call a neighboring supervisor to our south to discuss sewer districts and general finances. And Mr. Supervisor, your response is that you didn't need help because we have very smart people. That approach to governing by this board as a whole is why East Fishkill is in this financial mess. The town supervisor that I mentioned presides over a town with a virtually non-existent business base, and despite this has never increased taxes while maintaining a full commitment to their police department. And they are not found on any fiscally stressed list. Global Foundries is another pilot that has to be revisited. They've just laid off workers. They've said that over the next half decade to a decade that they intend on leaving altogether. Tax breaks for small businesses, instead of this company that's laying off workers, instead that they'd leave East Fishkill, would be far more beneficial to our town to expand, bring down rates and expand the base. And like I said last month, 3 members on this board are business owners. If these business owners ran their business in the same manner that they run the town, they would be out of business. The town's finances, this is a long time in the making, and it's going to take a new path forward to get our finances in order, and that starts with looking right in the mirror at the pensions and the benefits and the pay increases for town board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, Moody's did give us a AA2 rating, and actually we still have about $1.1 million in the bank, so we're pretty solid in that respect. The last 2 winters really put a big crimp in our highway budget, and our general fund had to make sure we could clear the roads. We do our best to keep things in good order here.
And
So
Mr.
that's all I have
Supervisor,
say.
just to point out that Global Foundries doesn't have a pilot.
No.
That as of July 1st, when they took over the IBM plant, the pilot terminated,
Right.
and the Global
Right.
Foundry property is back on the tax rolls.
Right, but see, everybody thinks, oh, a pilot is a tax break. Out of the pilot, IBM was paying us $8.35 million a year, and everybody would say, oh, you gave them a tax break. Well, to be honest with you, they gave us a check for $8.35 million
Right. The
a
pilot
year
was because of the
from the
breaks
pilot.
that they got from the county in mortgage tax, which of course hurt your budget, and also sales tax
Sales tax being
changes.
capped by the
Right.
county.
Mhm.
When you look at the revenue streams that we typically get is the taxes, mortgage taxes, sales taxes, and the general tax levy. And the mortgage taxes have never really recovered from their peak, and thank goodness it was a building boom. The county has capped our sales taxes, which has cost us a few $100,000 a year. And obviously with New York State, with their tax cap, it's been a difficult environment. But I disagree with the young gentleman in the respect that I know everybody, he says you build the small businesses, but I've always been of the mind that you really need the anchor store to bring the small businesses in, because, you know, that's what I think is going to really be a help to bringing this local economy, this local tax base back to life. And so that's my perspective, so. Yes, sir.
And that's a good point, bringing the small businesses in to build up the tax base. I just wanted to come back and say that what I'd really like, because I get a little excited when talking about the police department, it touches too close to home. What I'd really like to see is all of us, well, not all of us, but you guys up there and the police department, working on different ways to get them what they need without raising taxes, because, and Manny brought up an excellent point, and I've said this a gazillion times as well. Most of our taxes are paid to the Wappinger School District. And I don't want to get off the agenda here, but it keeps rising and rising and rising. They're making a lot of poor choices, and we need to rise up like this and head over there and sit down and start speaking to them. Now, with that said, from what I understand, they imposed that 3-minute rule, which you guys tried to impose, so we'd have to figure out a crafty way to do it, but I'm sure as tax-paying citizens, we can figure out something. But that's it is very important, because our property taxes are a small percentage of the taxes that we pay, and they have been relatively stable.
Thank you.
So I will give you that. And again, you guys have a hard job. I understand that. But my point, all I really want to stress is that this can't, and I'm pointing over here, I hope all the cops are sitting here, this really can't be the place to start making fiscal changes. That can't be the place. Fiscal changes have to be made somewhere else, and I'm sure there are other places to make it. Now, with that said, you had mentioned something about the, I just wanted to bring up one point, because I had mentioned the federally subsidized housing, and then you mentioned something about it when I sat down. And maybe you can tell me, because, you know, I'll learn from you. You're the town supervisor. How many more police officers are going to be required to handle the extras at 90 families, I believe, that are moving in there? Is that what the number is?
How many
90, 91 families? Okay. So some people have said to me, oh, we're not going to need any more police for that.
I wouldn't.
Really? Mm-hmm. So we're struggling now with our police department to cover our town. Now we're going to put this federally subsidized housing in that's not going to add to our tax base.
Yes, it is. They will pay.
They will pay, but will they pay enough to cover the increased cost
They'll
of the
pay the
police
same as
department?
Hopewell Garden Apartments pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rents in the development, the workforce development,
Mhm.
are higher than the rents at Hopewell Garden Apartments.
It'll be-
Well,
Number
that's
one.
rent.
Number two, 30 of the units are for developmentally disabled people.
Okay, but we're talking about the tax base.
And then the tax base, they pay, they'll say pay the same taxes to the Wappinger
Hopewell
School
Garden.
Board, the town, the fire district,
They're going to pay,
as the Hopewell Garden Apartments pay.
are they going to pay the same tax
Yes.
as if you put regular housing there?
Yes. 'Cause
So
rental-
if I build a house there,
Rental prop. no,
they're going to pay the
no,
same
no,
tax
wait a
as I
second.
would?
Excuse me.
Let me just make the point. Rental properties, the income, the taxes are based on the rent rolls and the expenses.
Okay.
And that's the same way as Hopewell Garden Apartments. I think
Mhm.
they're 63. This
Mhm.
is going to be 88. So if you do the math, the
about
numbers are going to be right in there what they should be with respect to it.
So you've
Just like
done-
the small business plazas pay based on the rent roll.
Okay. So then to answer my question, like I said, this is why I wanted to hear from you, because I wanted to learn this. So what you're saying is that the tax base is going to cover the extra police coverage, the extra highway coverage, because you know you're going to have, you already got roads decaying, you're going to have more roads
All the
decaying.
roads are privately maintained in there.
You're still going to have roads getting to that private
No,
road.
They're right here.
the road right in from 376 is
What
all
you're saying is
privately
not going to be any more traffic on Route 52,
No,
Route
I said there's
376?
no
state
more
roads.
roads to maintain, is what your point.
Well, there is, because you're going to have more traffic.
Mhm.
You're going to have more people traveling to the Taconic,
It's all been debated.
going down 52. You're going to have more people traveling on 376.
Just like we do with the subdivisions.
You're gonna have
When
more
I moved
people
here, I added
walking.
to. When you moved here, you added to.
You're going to have more people walking to the local businesses. You're going to have more people walking to Nick's Pizzeria. There's going to be more people, more congestion. There's going to be more wear and tear. So my question is, and I really don't want to get on the subject till you came back with something. So my question really, I'm sorry? My question really is, have you done the numbers? Is the tax base that you calculated off this project going to be enough to cover the extra services that are going to have to go there. The extra services being Con Ed, which, not Con Ed, Central Hudson, which doesn't come out of our pocket. It comes out of Central Hudson, but at the same time, that leaves Central Hudson to turn around and want to raise our rates more because more infrastructure.
Well,
So
they're all going to
have you
have the
done?
same utility accounts.
I'm sorry?
Each apartment is going to have an electric meter and a gas meter.
Right.
And
Just
they're going
like-
to pay the same rates as you
More
and I.
gas meter, more electric meter.
Just like
more
every
wear and
one of
tear.
our homes did.
Right. More wear and tear. So my question again is, have you?
They will pay taxes just like Hopewell Garden Apartments does.
My question is.
Will it cover, will it,
Yeah.
expenses cover the extra?
Yeah.
It will cover as much as any other residential development in the town of East Fishkill covers their expenses.
That
A single
doesn't
family
answer the
develop-
question.
Yes, it does.
No, because
We are a system of laws in New York. The state legislature has set up the assessment system. I may not like it, you may not like it, but when developments are built, whether they're single-family homes, strip malls, global foundries, anything else, there are laws, the real property tax law, that says how they're assessed. And based on that assessment is how you derive money for the county, for the school district, the water district, the sewer district, the fire district. And this particular workforce housing development will be assessed and be taxed the same way as everybody else.
Perfect. Thank you. And with all due respect.
Yes.
So again, you've prepared a budget. Have you taken that budget based on everything you said and calculated the amount of tax based
Yes,
on... May I
yes,
finish,
it was
please,
calculated.
sir?
If you went through all the...
May I
Sir,
finish
you
my
haven't
question?
been here for the process. You mustn't know the process.
May
When
I
that
finish my
development
question?
was
I guess
before the
not.
planning board, it had an extensive environmental review. Part of
And
that
maybe
environmental
this is part of the issue
review...
that the people can't get a chance to speak.
Well,
No, you should go to the
well,
planning
you've
board.
certainly taken up a lot of time. I'm a resident, too.
But you keep cutting me off.
Well, I'm trying to answer something very quickly for you.
I'm going to ask
Very
the question.
quickly.
I'm going to ask the question one more time.
Go ahead.
Have you taken a look at the budget and calculated based on everything you said, the assessment and the rent roll? Have you taken that amount? Let's say it's $1 million. We're going to throw that number out there. Have you taken that amount and said, okay, we're going to extrapolate that we're going to need X amount of police, this, that, this road service based on percentage, and we have enough to cover it, or we don't have enough to cover it? Has that been done in hard figures?
Yes.
It
It's
has.
in the environmental review documents that are on file with the planning board. Every development that we live in, anytime it comes to the planning board, goes through a secret review, State Environmental Quality Review Act. One of the things that you have to look at is impacts, is the tax impact and the
Right.
expense impact. And there's a
Right.
whole section on that.
Okay.
And it analyzes every department that has to provide service.
Okay.
Is asked for input. The Wappinger Central School District, there's
Right.
a letter, there's correspondence in there.
Right.
No problem. We can handle there's a formula how they calculate the number of kids. So if you want, you can pull it out on any development that's occurred in the town. You can look at every subdivision. We have a subdivision on Creekside Road. There's analysis there. There's some...
I'm not worried about the other subdivision.
But you got all of them. It's all the
We're
same.
talking about this one here, so...
And it's the same. It was treated the same.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so we've got all
Because I'm
these
getting
impact
nowhere.
studies,
Yeah.
right? And we've determined that it takes, you're gonna get X amount of dollars, and somebody has said, we need 4 more cops for this 90 unit. Right, wrong, or indifferent, but
Right.
somebody says that. Has that number been given to you? And are we planning to fill those positions? Because,
Not from one project, no.
Well,
But that would
well,
all go into the general fund money, which would be going to the budgets.
but if you've acknowledged the fact that you're putting X amount of people in here, and it requires 2.3 more cops,
If you read the report,
I didn't.
there's an
That's why I'm
analysis.
asking.
Right.
Is it-
And if you take they have an analysis of the arrests or, not arrests, but calls to Hopewell Garden Apartments and other developments, there's a whole analysis that's...
well, is there an analysis that says that
Yeah, I don't
require
remember
more
what...
police
There
police
isn't
for it?
usually any correlation to a direct thing that, oh, you need one more for that.
Okay, and
that
are we
is
doing
considered.
anything to put one more on for that?
Yes.
We are.
It
Is that the one we're going to hire in January
We're
because
going
we're 5
to hire
short?
one in January, but we're not just going to have them for that, we're going to have them for the whole town.
But you've determined
everybody
that
in the
you
whole
need
town will
one
pay
for that
for it.
project.
But it's
I don't
going to
think
take
you'd have
3
one
years to build.
dedicated for that project, but you'd have extra staffing.
Okay, so we're not hiring one even though we need one. Okay.
But we are.
We're hiring one, I think we're hiring one in January.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're missing the point. You've got a project that says you need X amount of firemen, X amount of cops, X amount of whatever, right? You've said it's coming into the town, we need 1 cop. when that project comes online, forget the scheduling of the police officers, but there should be one more cop that has been hired as a result of that project.
Well, I'll just say we have 30 roughly members in the department now for 30,000 people. I mean, this is just off the top of my head. That would indicate we have roughly one employee in the police department for every 1,000 residents. I think there's going to be maybe 100, 150 residents. So you're talking about fractions of people,
that's
you
fine.
know.
As long as we're-
But
I
we'll
don't
all-
care if it's fractions or whole number.
Yeah, it's not
It's all-
2.3
it's all in the
people.
analysis.
Whatever
So,
that number is,
yeah.
we should be planning and hiring
Right.
for that, because we know we have this load coming in
Yes.
3 years.
And the same thing is that dome. You know, think we're gonna need police officers in that dome?
When that happens, yes.
I want to make one point or address one point the supervisor brought up. Every time that it's brought up that there's been non-sensible budgeting, Mr. Supervisor, you pivot to the snow, and there was a bad winter. Every other town in the vicinity in the state had to deal with snow removal. The town of Kent had to deal with snow removal. Fishkill. Fishkill was taken off the fiscally stress list. Kent never appeared on it.
Right.
This, by blaming all these other things, all these other factors, that's not the problem. The root of the problem is that this board truly believes that they have managed our tax dollars effectively and responsibly. And that's not the case. That's the root of the problem. The fact that you have not managed the budgets responsibly. That's the root of the problem. And when we realize that, then we can begin to solve the problems, to adequately fund the police, and like I said before, to look at the pensions of the town board, the benefits of the town board, and the pay increases of the town board. There are two individuals that suggested a volunteer town board, elected by the people, but accept no money. The deputy supervisor receives an additional stipend. And then it was a 1.5% increase every year for the town board. And that's not right. The town board is elected to serve the people. It's not there to make a career off of it or to get rich off of it. And that's my point. You have to look at responsible budgeting, take the assessment from the state comptroller's office seriously, instead of disregarding it as if it's nothing. And it's a serious issue that we were ranked in the bottom 2%, the bottom 15 of 1,000 municipalities across New York State. And the longer we brush it aside as if it's nothing, that's the problem. And the quicker we solve that problem, we can begin to address the budget issues and get our town off of that list. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I would just say that we do not take any of these budgeting or economic issues lightly. And I know with the referral to the last winter, and I know other towns have had significant winters also. We had budgeted $700,000 for last winter snow removal, I believe, and we went well into the way over $1 million, probably $1.4 million, $1.5 million, something.
Miles of road.
Yeah, we have 200 miles of road. So, you know, there was that. We still have $1 million, $1.1 million in the bank, and we are doing a lot of things that will make. We're making some changes internally, and I think we're on a fine track. It was just a couple of very difficult winters, and the revenues, as I always said. But I believe that we're fine.
Thank you for putting up with us. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. A pleasure.
Bob, before you go on, I just want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I mean, all the comments tonight, I want to just say that, yes, this is all taken into consideration, especially by me. The town board needs to do a better job with the budget. I expressed in the past that we need to work together, that even though the state gives the budget to the town supervisor to work, I think that the town supervisor should take the opportunity to work with us, because all of these members on this board are just as equally responsible for the town of East Fishkill. I hope that this changes in the future, because the input that we receive from you guys and the input that we could put in the budget and the departmental input gives us all a better picture of what's going on. and where we should really cut in the future and save. There is money to be saved. I've brought few issues how to cut $400,000. And you know, every cut that we save in certain departments, I'm not talking right now about the police department because I think they should be funded properly. But there are other departments that we could cut and really not affect the community. And that needs to be done. And that's really it's really the hard job. But, coming from the business community, I do these jobs on a daily basis. To me, this is like second nature. So I beg the town supervisor to work with us. I want to volunteer as much time as possible so that we're not in this situation any other time in the future. We don't need to be where we are today. We don't need to face the community the way we're facing. We need to work together. We're representing you, but we need to work together. So again, I take this opportunity to express my opinion that I would love to be involved from day one, January 1st, throughout the creation of a budget, which is given to us in September, and really understand where the town finances are. It is really hard for somebody like myself to be given a budget in a week and address where I could cut and where I shouldn't cut, and suggest it to the town supervisor and the controller who deal with this on a daily basis with all the other departments, the police chief, the PBA. So this is an ongoing process. And, if I could put that message out again, that's an important message to be given to the community and to the rest of the board.
Okay.
All right. I'll make it brief.
Excuse me, Bob, I just have one little comment. The budget process typically starts around June, July, when we send out all of our notices to the department heads. Please let us know what your department budgets are going to be. We receive the budgets a few weeks later. We have till September 29th, I believe it is, by law. I have to have my budget turned into to the town clerk at 4 o'clock of business of that day. Within 5 days, as we did this year, as we do every year. I turn it over to the town board. There's nothing that stops you from looking at a budget, during the year, and there's nothing that stops anybody from talking. Councilman Marinero and I have talked about issues and things that, we both felt need to be cut, what didn't need to be cut. I know the councilman also goes down to the controller, so please feel free. You always have that. You will always have that. So I just want to make that comment. Yes, Bob.
All right. Real brief. One of the problems is that we'll discuss something here, and it goes no further. So the fact that I spoke about a volunteer board, and it was mentioned by someone else, is it something that we're just going to mention, or is it something that we can have a discussion about and vote on it? Or is it just going to go in one ear and out the other?
A volunteer board is something that you brought up tonight, and obviously...
well, to be honest, I've mentioned it before, and now I feel like I need to make more of a point about it, because otherwise same thing is going to happen. Time is going to pass. Nobody's going to comment on whether or not they're going to do anything about it. I would like to know if it's something that's going to come up for a discussion.
If it's something the board wishes to discuss, I have no problem putting on a workshop or something to discuss the benefits of having a volunteer town board.
Well, how about the people having some input to discuss it, whether the town board wants to do that or not? And I'm not saying in this time period, but whatever time period would make it legal, I think it ought to be presented to the people if we want to have a paid board or a elected unpaid board. I think that's something that the people ought to, have some input on.
Put it on a referendum for the voting machine and see if people would like to vote on having an unpaid board.
But that's good.
That would be the way to actually get the feeling of the public.
Okay, but can we and will we do that? And when?
I know it has to be done by the end of August of next year.
Okay. So is that something that I and maybe other people could look forward to?
Will you want to write me a letter saying, as a representative of the town, I would like to see this on?
Do I really have to write a letter? Is this not good enough?
I will take a look, if you would like, to find out if I can get on the voting machine, if the town of East Fishkill residents would like to have non-paid board.
Okay, thank you. One last thing. I don't think that paying anybody up there makes them any better than anybody else that would be willing to volunteer to do this, because after all, they were elected, and somebody else will be elected also. So I don't think that paying them is making a better board.
Bob, if it makes you feel better, when this country was created, it was just that. It was a volunteer on all levels. Nobody was getting paid.
Yeah.
Now, 200 and something years later, because of our politicians all over, not just locally, everybody gives themselves a pay raise automatically.
Well, maybe we could start here, Manny.
So.
Maybe we could start here, and maybe it'll continue somewhere else.
Hi, I'm Thomas Moran. I've been East Fishkill resident. I don't know how long. I just joined the rescue squad about 2 years ago. There's 2 incidents where I have been on a scene where either the cop was coming across town and I beat them there with the ambulance, or I'm waiting for him. I don't want to go into the house because I don't know what's in that house, and somebody could be dying in there.
But
I
you
can't
don't
really
go
do
in for-
anything because of safety.
Understood. Yeah, we understand that, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, anybody else to speak on general town issues? I'd like to wrap up if we're good. Okay, well,
You know, I've been sitting and listening to the conversation going on here tonight, and I just want to say that I want to thank the East Fishkill Police Department. A few houses in my neighborhood foreclosed, and right next door was a house that the doors were left open, and with the drug problems in the area, and we've asked for, in Hillside Lake, we've asked for patrolling of that park because there's been activity in that park. And my husband just passed away in March. I'm there by myself, and I see the door open in this big old house, in this big new house.
yeah.
And I had 2 police officers there within minutes. I mean, I was in my driveway, I called them on my cell phone, and they came in and they told me to stand back, don't worry, and they took secure ways to getting into that house. I was so impressed. It was a female officer and a male officer. And I came home, I don't know, maybe a couple months later, and the same thing happened. But luckily now, you know, my neighbors are all aware of what's going on with these 2 empty houses because we're protecting, we're doing our own protection because we saw how they did it. And just the fact that if we did need them, they would have been there in minutes. The other thing is, I had to say, as far as, you know, you talked about 54 square miles of East Fishkill coverage. Well, in 2000, how many police officers did we have in 2000? We had 54 square miles of
That's a good point.
miles to cover.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure we had probably close to the same amount on the police force. I don't think we've increased it all that much, or have we?
Well, I think it was probably less than 2,000, but I understand your point.
But I know the increase in population, not only
Alone,
in all of these new
sure.
developments that have been brought in all along the rail trail. I know I've walked on the rail trail, and if something goes on in the rail trail, what do you call? You know, what do you do? You're in the middle of the rail trail. You know, you can run to some of the houses, or you can...
No, we have our police
We need our
patrol
police
that.
department. And the other thing I'd like to bring up is that the police officers that are injured, you know, how they get injured, if you get injured on the job, I personally come from a police family, grandfather, brother, son-in-law.
Yeah.
I have a family member that was injured in the line of duty, being attacked by an EDP, and has been, since 34 years old, has had spinal cord injury. You know, if a police officer gets injured, it is our responsibility to make sure that they're either brought along to the next.
We're just hopeful they recover and come
and
back.
whatever it takes, whether it takes more legal help to get that done.
Oh, no, we have very
But we
good-
can't walk away from our
No,
police
we don't
officers that
walk away. We
are
have very
hurt
good
either.
coverage. Yes, no, they are very well taken care of, believe me.
Okay. One other question on a community note for myself. In my community, I'm on the Hillside Lake Board, and we had a meeting, and they just wanted to know, the community wanted to know, how is the grant going? Have you heard anything on the grant?
Last time I heard was...
I know we were here last month, you hadn't heard, you know.
Nothing since.
Nothing?
Nothing since. One of the things I do question is because it's election time, I wonder if maybe they don't award grants during certain times. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Is that something we can call your office to find out if we can? The other thing,
Well,
can we
that'd be
get a
something
docket
like, I
number
think-
so we can
I'm sorry.
find out on our own? Can we get the docket number for the grant?
I think Congressman Maloney's office is pushing very hard for this.
Okay.
And I'd just like to leave it with their office because
Okay.
they're doing their best.
All right.
Okay, I don't want to, we're very close to getting it, and I'd like to leave it in their hands.
Okay, thank you. And thank you.
Okay. With that, I think we're going to wrap up the evening. And again, we support our East Fishkill Police Department 100%. We always have. Unfortunately, there are budgetary constraints, and we do hope that our members that are out get well and return to duty as quickly as possible. And that's all I can say. I did want to mention one thing before we close. I'd like to thank Bill McClellan for some work. We have a problem with the radio tower up on Rushmore Road. We've had an issue up there for a long time. I just found out it's been for quite a few months, and Bill McClellan has actually gotten the company that owns the tower to come down, talk with the professionals, and actually the company was going to charge $22,000 to have the work done to fix the antenna, and he talked to them and they realized it was really their responsibility, and our antenna will be fixed, and hopefully this will resolve any issues with our police and first responder radios probably in the next few weeks. So I'd like to thank Mr. McClellan for that. All right. Anything else from the town board?
Yeah, I have a few comments. Sure. I like to say, of course, I support our PD fully, like the rest of our board does. I meet with members of the PD quite regularly, more regularly lately, but that's okay. I love to have them, and I speak with them all the time. And like the supervisor said, it's not a spending problem. The department, yes, there's overtime. There will always be overtime, but they don't overspend for years that we could say, oh my God, they overspend. That's not the case. It's a revenue problem, and I say we're going to be together, the board. We're going to meet with the members of the PBA, and we'll get this done. I promise you we will. I know it gets very emotional sometimes for some people because, you know, this is your family and these are your livelihoods, and it counts, and we understand that, and we want to be with you, and we are. On another note, the town board takes roads in. The gentleman talked about roads, and, you know, maybe we could push it off. Well, I get a lot of calls from residents on certain roads that that the school bus doesn't go up because it's not a town road, and that the snow plows won't go up because it's not a town road, and the mailman won't go up. So, you know, we have to try and make everyone happy, and that's why we take on roads. But that's why we need level-headed growth, and we try to do that as best we can. It's difficult, but we want more development to come in because we need more revenue, of course. Another gentleman stated about having businesses, try and put businesses and be business-friendly. Well, we think out of the box, too. Councilman Franco and I are coming up with our Business Summit. It is November 20th It will be here in Town Hall. It will be at 8 a.m. We're inviting many local businesses, small, medium, large. I've reached out to Global Foundries, that's how a big business. The county, Ron Hicks from the Economic Development Corp is coming, and I invite the whole town board and all the members of the town, if they would like to come, please. It'll be, again, November 20th, and we want to discuss how the town could facilitate more businesses to come in here, make a little bit more business-friendly situation here. We don't want it to be a gripe session, but we do want your input on how we can help you. We're here to help, and we try to do that. Another thing was, things are mentioned. Somebody said things are mentioned. Sometimes they don't come back. Well, the Ethics Board did meet, and I want to thank them for their hard work. They're all volunteers. And thank all the people for the many calls I've received, the many emails I've received about this. Somebody made an accusation about myself that I was unethical. Well, the decision was made, and it echoed all the citizens that called and emailed me, and I'm very thankful and I'm very happy. And Councilman Franco and I will continue to do Spotlight on East Fishkill for many years to come, as long as we can, and help all our local businesses, because that's what we do. We help our local businesses, and we love our local businesses, and I'd just like to thank you all. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
John, I want to make a comment. I wasn't gonna, but being that he brought up East Fishkill Spotlight, I think it was the workshop or last month's meeting, you took credit for giving free advertisement to the business owners. And Nick, with all due respect, I don't know how you give free advertisement to the business owners. Again, if anybody's given free advertisement, it would be the whole town board and all of East Fishkill. I don't know where you have the right to take the credit that you're giving free advertisement to the businesses in this town. And I just want to make that, clarify that. For those people that don't know, unless you want to educate me differently right now, I'm willing to listen. But other than that, I don't think that you give free advertisement.
The town board gives the right to have the Spotlight show, and I'm one of the hosts, and the town provides the service for all the businesses. And I will continue to help the small businesses like I always have.
Okay.
And if you want to read the decision of the Ethics Board, it's in the clerk's
I could
office.
care less about what the ethics board said. That is, to me, it's still unethical. Thank you.
Yes, good, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
It's a political move, and that's all it is.
Do I have a motion to close the town board meeting?
Mr. Supervisor, if you give me 1 minute. I'm Bill McClellan, I'm chairman of the board, East Fishkill Fire District. The whole board was invited to our Sunday open house. We were very fortunate that 2 council people came, and they happened to be Spotlight in East Fishkill. They showed all our volunteers in action, and I want to thank them both for doing a great job.
Thank you for what you do. I have a motion to close the town board meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.